Broadcasting now.
Straight Riffin is filmed in front of a live internet audience.
I am riffing. Mitch is riffing. What more can I say? Straight riffing.
Do you know how fucking desperate I am for some comfort in my life? I need that pillow.
This show is intended for mature audiences only.
I've seen a lot of dicks.
I don't know how much more disgusting this experience could get.
Are you really not having a good time?
I'm having a fantastic time. I just can't believe how disgusting you
I
are.
kept yelling, I'm not gonna whip my dick out. We talked about that. I'm not gonna do that.
Featuring your host, Mitch Marzoni.
I don't walk around going like, hey, I'm really weird. Look at me, I'm weird. As far as I'm concerned, I'm perfectly normal. It's a litmus test for creepy.
And Teddy Tutson.
I'm a hate mercenary. Yeah.
All right. Hate mercenary.
Hater for hire. Hater for hire. I should put on a disguise.
There are two victimless crimes, all right? One, jerking off when your window's open. Two, necrophilia.
I am confessing to a large-scale crime.
Okay, all right.
now.
Legs akimbo, engaged in sexual discourse.
Come on, man. What kind of guest are you?
It's archived for posterity.
Great internet.
So
21st century.
it'll come back to haunt you every day.
Yikes.
It's time to riff.
Oh, that is right, bitches and motherfuckers. It is July 9th, 2012, episode 68, I believe.
68.
68.
68.
And it is time to riff the fuck on. I am your host, Reverend Mitch. With me, as always, is the difficult brown, the hater for hire, Mr. Teddy TMI. Tutson, how the fuck are you, sir?
Oh, man. Still standing, Mitch. Still holding strong, you know what I mean? Trying to avoid them Fort Sumters out there in the game of
Sure,
life. Trying to hold on with my Ulysses S. Grant. You know what I mean?
Word.
Word is bond, son.
Indeed, indeed. And our special guest this evening, who had a hell of a time trying to find parking in this
Here now.
atrocious
He's here now.
neighborhood.
In the building.
All good. Please give it up for Mr. John Wesley. How are you, sir?
Damn, I never heard my name, like that.
Right?
Damn, that sounds good. Can you do that again?
Yeah,
absolutely,
let's
sure,
make it
sure.
roll
All
again.
right.
Make a man feel comfortable. In this
Yeah,
bitch.
man.
John Wesley.
Yeah. You make me feel important when you do it like that.
That's what
That's
Mitch-
good.
that's
Well,
what
you
it's
are.
all about. You
You're
go
good.
through,
I
you
get it.
sweated through that Hollywood traffic, you
Oh,
went through the rat race.
Man, y'all need to quit.
You deserve to
Invite
come
somebody
up.
over here, and you ain't got no damn place to park. Look at that shit.
I know. Listen,
Hey, it's not us.
we're working on it.
We're
I mean,
trying.
it's,
We're trying.
Y'all got to make some money, man.
Believe it. Believe you me. We're trying to get. This is the first thing we invest in.
You'll
parking
get
spots.
you'll get no argument from us there. We do need to make.
Yeah, we all need to make some money.
Always got to make a little bit more money.
Yeah, man.
It's all right.
So what y'all
Okay.
up to, babe? What you got me in here for? What's going on?
Just for the riff, as it were.
The riff.
The riffing.
I like that. It's
You
like
know?
it's like an improvisation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We like to cover all things big and small.
What you covering? What we covering today?
Any
On the
number of
riff
things.
side.
Anything that comes up. How's life in
Life is
Wesley
good.
land, Wesley
Life
world?
is good. I wish it was more work, more money.
Yeah.
But actually, I can't complain because they didn't give me a lot of work. I fooled them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So go ahead. No, I'm
No, I was
sorry.
only gonna say I snuck in here, and they didn't know who I was.
Did you ever intend on acting as your profession of trade?
Hell no.
What? So the story of John Wesley. If we're starting out biographical style, and we're like
The storied saga.
a wee John Wesley who's looking up
Yeah.
at his future self, who has come back 40 years deep in the acting game now, and he's like, I don't even recognize
Now look,
you. I want it to be a blank. What do you want?
Now look, go with that name, John Wesley.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you look that name up, that's that guy started all the Calvin churches and the Protestant churches and all that kind of
Yeah, a
stuff.
lot of white dudes on the blue.
A lot of white dudes, man. Ain't too many brothers over there.
No.
Yeah, but you go over there to YouTube right now and you clock in the actor John Wesley. I'm sitting on top of them white folks. I'm right at the top. But here's how I got into acting.
I was gonna yell out testify, but I was like, I don't know. Is this got a witness? I don't know.
My God, that's the best segue I think we've ever had. That's the best. I'm sitting on top of them white folks, but acting, you dig?
It's all accidental,
Real
man.
quick, did you lock the front?
I did, yeah.
Okay,
I don't
just-
know. Maybe I'll check.
Is
Go
somebody
ahead.
coming in here?
We never know, John.
You never know.
man.
You know how these apartments work.
Good thing I
man.
didn't bring no money,
Yeah. People just walk
I
in.
don't want to,
you
because
know.
we're in Hollywood, you know that.
Yeah,
They'll
yeah.
hit you over the head.
Yeah.
Who was that? Ry Cooder said they'll literally kick your ass. It was Ry Cooder said that.
I don't know who that is.
You
I'm
know,
sorry.
you don't know who Ry Cooter is? Man, it's a super white dude, man. He
I'm
sound like
sorry.
a brother.
I'm sorry.
You,
Teddy,
you don't
are
know who
from-
Ry Cooter is, Teddy?
Who's this?
Ry Cooter.
I don't know if I'm familiar with that name.
Okay, thank God.
Cooder. Yes, he's kind of a redneck, actually.
Okay.
But he's so beautiful. He talks about if you come to Hollywood, you better not run out of cash, because they'll literally kick your ass. And that was our theme song when me and, well, I'll name him, James Avery, came to Hollywood. You guys know the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, the big guy.
Yeah, Uncle Phil.
Uncle Phil's my old partner from 40 years. You see, we've
So-
been acting, buddy.
So you got in. So you got started with James Avery.
Yeah.
Kind of, pretty much.
Yeah.
So where
I
did
beat him out of a job.
which gig was that?
We were down in the old Globe in San Diego doing a piece called it was by a cat named Ionesco.
So you're doing theater back then.
Yeah. We're doing a play, and I come in. I saw James Avery auditioning, and you know that voice he's got, man.
Yes.
I thought he was James Earl Jones, you know, with that thing.
Yeah, great
So,
voice.
you
Great
know,
voice.
The
yeah.
director, singled me out. I wasn't even there to audition, guys. I'm serious. They're dropping my sister off for the audition. I'm on my way to dinner. He spots me. But, guys, this is 1974.
Had you
okay?
done any acting prior to this at all?
No. This is 74, and of course in 74 we're wearing the bell bottoms. You know, we got the hats on. with the big
Superfly.
feather. Yeah, we super flying,
You had the
dude.
do you have any platforms? Did you own
I
a
had my
platform?
platforms on. It's Friday night, dude. So what happened?
Did you have goldfish platforms? Did you ever have
No, it was all white. You know, I was in
Yeah,
all
yeah,
white. And
all
I had
white
a money
platform.
green, sports coat on with
There
a
you
white
go.
hat and
All right.
feather. You know
All
what I'm
right.
saying?
Yeah.
real
yeah.
pimp shit right now? That's
Trying
that
to
real
tell you,
OG
it's-
pimp shit.
It's Friday night, dude. We partying. Anyway, I come in the room, and the director sends his assistant over with his little clip. I tell the cat, I said, no, I'm not here, man. I said, look, my sister's over here. She's the one auditioning. Don't be, I'm not interested. The guy said, you sure about that? I said, yeah, I'm sure. He went back. Now, this director was a black dude, man. This cat named Dr. Floyd Gaffney. You've heard Avery talk about it. But anyway, this cat, man, stands up. He said, you. I said, me? He said, yeah, you. You don't want to read for my play? I said, no, I'm not interested in reading for your play. What? You're an actor? I said, no, I'm not an actor. I said, but my sister is here reading for your play. I'm on my way to dinner. This is my woman over here. We headed out. He said, yeah. Well, he kept talking, just talking. Yeah, well, what do you know? Well, the next thing you know, my woman tugs on my little sports coat to tell me, hell, we're here. I may as well read.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I read for this part. And the cat tells me to come back the next day. Well, he's also told James Avery that. So I can't figure why this guy's calling me, man. Turns out, see, you got to know Ionesco. He's an absurdist playwright. Extreme. So he had hired a cat that looked like a white guy, looked like James Avery, same hairline, big belly, all of that. And he was looking for a cat who could look like a prince. Well, that's me. I got the, big hat on.
Superfly.
Yeah, baby. So I wind up getting this job. Now, yeah, I'm serious. now.
Platform Kingdom.
That's right. I get this job, y'all. And the next thing I know, I get a best nomination for best supporting actor in the play. And then I get an offer to come to UCSD. They're starting an actors training program and want me to be in it and on a full fellowship. Now, bear in mind, guys, I ain't tell you this. I got a BA in political science. I'm on my way to law school. That's where I'm headed. But
So that's the young John Wesley who's
That's
like, I'm,
right.
I'm a lawyer. I'm gonna be real scholarly in this shit.
I'm gonna be in the movement, baby. I'm gonna be in the civil rights movement. I'm gonna get you brothers some action. They fucking over you.
Right.
So I'm trying to help you
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
But I got pulled off in another direction.
So you get the sidetrack, and so going throughout high school, no theater in high school, nothing like that, no writing, anything. You were totally just focused on what aspect?
Nothing.
Focus on
I ain't
nothing.
do shit.
Another do shit.
I dropped out of high school.
Oh yeah.
I got a job washing cars in Coronado. I was about 16.
What grade did you drop out at?
I was about 16, so it'd have been about the 11th,
Okay.
11th grade, something like that. And I got this job washing cars. Well, shit. I'm making money, babe.
At the car
I don't need it. You got it, babe. I don't need no school. Shoot, I got me a job. I was telling somebody today, it's interesting I say this, though. the reason I got off on this job wasn't the job title. The fact of the matter is I was 16 and I'd go to work with 4 men every morning. And I could listen to men talk. And I started learning stuff
Right,
from these
right.
men right quick. It was great.
Just kind of expanding your horizons about
I
the
started
world.
learning life. You know, I got these guys. They're not scholars. They're car wash guys. But they know shit.
Right, right, right.
And they're talking, man. I'm listening, you know. Then I got that job. And guess what, guys? I got a promotion. I got me a dishwashing job downtown. Shit.
Balling.
How? God damn. I mean, that was a huge raise, man. I got to wear an all-white uniform, you know. Shit, I got a paycheck every 2 weeks.
You got disposable income now. You got
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can make
Come
moves. You
on.
make
I
moves,
got
baby.
me a woman now, y'all. I can take her shopping. You know, she come right on payday. You know, she wouldn't show up no other time.
Yeah.
I tell you, it's cool.
You got a
Give me
real-
little, you know.
Every fortnight
Sure,
she'll roll
sure.
through. Yeah.
Bought me a car. Back up off me, motherfuckers. Shit.
What was your first car then?
I had a 55 Burgundy Chevy. One of them Chevrolet Bel Airs.
Oh, all right,
Sweet.
all right,
With my little
okay,
half moons and shit on it, 3-speed.
nice.
Had you eyed that one out for a while? Like I've never been really a car person, so like I like have no real reminiscent thing about cars or whatever. But like I feel like, you know, it was that's kind of like that's my car. I'm gonna eye that bitch out. I'm gonna get
know
the
what?
money, and I'm finally gonna buy that motherfucker.
that?
And then I'm driving that bitch out.
See?
I'm gonna pick up somebody. I'm gonna go to a hot date. I'm gonna say, go buy yourself something real nice, hot dog and some
See?
onion rings. We're gonna be
See?
real good. Let's go to the drive-in, see the screen. Shit's gonna be hot.
See, when they
Yeah, I've only had 2 cars that I was like that. I'm getting one of those. I've only had that happen twice.
What,
but,
what two?
both of them were Nissan Altimas. One was
Ain't that
a
something?
red 05, and the other one was a black 08.
Nissan Altima.
Yeah, yeah.
You didn't
yeah.
see the car I come up in here in, did you?
No,
Can we?
I
Yeah.
didn't.
You
Now,
should-
now,
you should
don't
put
get
a
me
picture of
wrong.
That
I'm
55
just-
Chevy Beverly.
as a practical says nothing about me car.
Yeah.
The Altima's a
Yeah.
good one to pick.
That's
you know
true.
what I mean?
Actually, it's a great car.
It's good. It's
No
just,
disrespect
it's-
it.
but it doesn't.
But it
there's-
ain't no 55
It ain't
Chevy.
no-
No, I know.
Bel Air,
Absolutely.
baby. Come on.
No,
You
I
ain't
know.
taking no bitch on no how.
No, I know. Absolutely, absolutely. It's got there's no pizzazz to it. Again,
Right.
it says nothing about me, and I kind of like that.
You get
It's
no
just,
women
know
in
what I
no
mean?
Ultima.
You can. I mean, listen.
Now,
I'd be
you
somewhere.
guys going to get a kick out of
I'd
this.
be all right.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because, you know, you asked me about my acting career.
Yeah.
I moved to well, there's a lot between this, but James Avery and I start to tour out of our own theater company in 1979. And we get asked to come to the Oregon Shakespeare Festival with these 2 South African plays. We're activists with these plays.
No, so
we're
you've
trying
got-
to get Nelson Mandela out of jail.
So you've got a lot of that same, drive behind going to law
Yes,
school, but it's been
yes.
channeled now. in
It's channeled
theater.
now into the arts.
And now, are you based out of San Diego still when you're touring with James Avery?
That's right.
Okay,
That's
so
right.
now
We're
you're
both out of there.
You're right, and so you're Oregon Knox in the Shakespeare Festival.
We go to the Shakespeare Festival. We spend 2 seasons up there. We tour for 3 years with these plays. Outside the festival, we're making some big bucks now. You know, me and Avery. Oh, we cleaning up.
a lot of
at any-
Chevy action going on.
Ooh, brother. But at any rate, we're the big smash up there. Because guess what? There no black people there till me and Avery get there and integrate that motherfucker.
Where are we talking about?
The Oregon Shakespeare Festival.
Oh, okay. All right.
So
okay.
no,
Okay.
no black
There
actors.
were no black actors
Were there
there.
anything not a white actor except for
No,
you two?
there were no black
Anybody who wasn't
people.
just a lumberjack, pretty much.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
There were
Straight
no
blizzard.
There were no black people. Me and Avery was the only 2.
Wow. So
I tell y'all a little story.
and you were based out of there for 3 years, so
Well, we worked there for 2 seasons.
worked there for 2 seasons. So
But now look, they call us in. You're gonna like this, brother. They call us in because the company manager calls us in. He says, Avery, John Wesley, listen, you 2 guys are going to be considered exotics here.
did he use the term exotics?
That's the word.
Oh my God, no, he didn't.
Yes, she did.
Oh, she did.
White woman.
Oh, excuse me, she. Oh my God.
So now look, I look at Avery like,
Call his
okay.
be exotic.
So what's up with that?
putting that shit.
So now she says, well, the reason I say that is because the women are going to be hitting on you guys. So I say to Avery, well, that ain't no big thing. I'm used to that.
Sure.
Avery,
I have a
Cruising
55
around-
Chevy Bel Air.
Hey, what
Cruising
we
around in
talking
the Burgundy
about
Chevy
here?
Bel Air. I mean,
That's
you know,
right, babe.
Listen.
So anyway, she says, yes, but one thing. They're all going to be white. That's when we looked at each other like, oh, that's what y'all done called us in here for. Huh? So
So
then
you
she
got-
adds,
oh.
wait now, she adds to it. Now listen, you guys represent the Oregon Shakespeare Festival. And so all of your activities reflect back here. So please, listen, if you're going to deal with these women, and you'll be dealing with them, just keep it low-keyed, would you? And so that's the
So
way
you
we-
got like the wink and the nod, but they were like, "Don't bring any public
Right.
scrutiny." And what now? What year? What year is this
This
again?
is 79, 80.
It's like that
Damn,
boxer.
son.
What's his name? He's killing me right now.
Who's this?
I was thinking. I couldn't remember what the boxer's name I was thinking of. I don't know. It's
That's so
killing me.
like going into the 80s. It's just fucking Oregon. I mean, we're talking.
That's right.
We're
Right,
talking.
right.
You know, I mean, Oregon is one of those more progressive bastions, if you
Well,
will.
this was very progressive. This is the height of liberalism.
Right.
The Oregon Shakespeare Festival. It's a fabulous place for any actor to work.
Is it still
honestly.
going on now? Or are
Oh,
they still
brother,
doing a
we-
lot of production?
Brother, let me show you. Show you how this works. Avery and I made a pact. We said, we're going to smoke these motherfuckers. They're going to have to let some more black people in there.
Go burn it
You
all
go there-
down.
you go there now, they got a bunch of us up there.
Hey, holler at them.
See?
Shout out.
Yeah, that's what you got to do. You got to open doors. You understand what I'm saying?
Sure.
You open. So anyway, we do that. Then we come to Hollywood. Now yours truly gets one line. I'm living in the Bay Area. I get one line in Eddie Murphy and Nick Nolte's 48 Hours.
Right. So that's your. Is that your first
That's
feature?
my
Feature feature
first,
film.
I get one line in it. I'm gonna show you how you guys. This is crazy. So I get this one line. I'll tell you what the line was. Hey, you! Put that down. That was my line.
Like,
You'll see it in the
Look
movie.
at that. You feel that bravado?
I mean, it's in
It
there.
just
You
came.
feel that shit?
The hostile takeover right now.
that's right.
Different headquarters.
I was just putting everything down. I know.
Yeah. I was about to pick up a beer, but then I was like, "Oh shit!" Real reflexive.
So what happens? I get this gig. The movie's a big smash. My agent sends me down to Los Angeles for general interviews. I got one credit on the, at least film credit on the
Right.
resume.
Got the whole theater repertoire.
I don't even have an agent,
Mm.
except, I mean, here. Man, I get a job. As soon as the person said, you were in 48 hours? I said, yeah. What did you do? I said, I was the 12th Street security guard. That was my job. They said, oh, yeah, sure. I saw you. They lied.
And I was on 11th Street. Bitch.
See? They lied because I'm in there 3 seconds. You can't
Right.
see me. You hear me, and then the camera
feel
pop.
it.
You feel it. Yeah, that's right.
Sticks with you.
Well, look, guys, I'm going to show you how Hollywood works. When you're in a hit movie, I probably worked for 10 straight years. Every meeting I went to, John, you were in 48 hours? For about 10 years. That's how powerful a hit movie and what it will do for an actor's career. Because, of course, I'd walk in and get everything. As soon as they saw 48 hours, they, oh, shit, they went to jumping around and squirming around. And then, oh, no, you need to have a little talent, too. It
Right,
helps,
but it's that sense of if you can associate your name
Yes.
somehow with
Come on.
something that
Come on, brother.
proves
Come
its
on.
earning power.
Come on.
You know,
Come
all of
on.
a sudden, you don't have to open
Come
any
on.
doors. You know,
Come on.
You don't have to put your hand on the door.
Teach.
The door's just open.
Teach.
You just walk in,
Teach.
and then you get your chance,
Now you teach it.
and then you do what you do,
See, that's how you teach.
and then you get on set.
You see what I'm saying?
Boom, there it is.
In Hollywood, it means something to be associated with hits.
That's that sense of success that precedes
Yes.
you.
Yes.
It's that sense. Like
Yes.
we were kind of talking about this last week with Eric Alexander and Tony Purrier, and they were it's that sense of a black cast or black leading actors and actresses not being exportable, and that like, well, we don't want to.
Yeah.
We want to stake our international
yes.
growth.
We don't want you in there.
Right, but if you can all of a sudden get someone in who gets associated with success, and then they do like, oh, wait a minute, this is marketable now. We can export this.
We owe that to Eddie, don't we? In
Right.
48 hours, he was fabulous. fabulous.
Well, the thing about Eddie Murphy that I remember reading when he had that big Rolling Stone interview. He never does interviews, but he was talking about, and everyone criticizes the family movies and stuff that he does, and that he's kind of taken in that track, but. He made the point that, like, if you just, I think it was him or whoever wrote the article, I can't remember, but if you add up the gross of all of those family films that he's done,
God.
it's ludicrous.
It's
yeah,
ludicrous.
absolutely.
It's like,
Yeah.
it's the
It's
most
off the charts.
right. I mean, there's no one who and that's like a fourth career for Eddie Murphy almost. He said he was going to be a household name by the time he was 21. He did SNL, then he went and was fucking comedy legend,
Yes.
and he was a movie star.
Yes.
And then he just like, I'm just going to do family films and just fucking stay up in my house all day and just do what it do. But like, it's tough to appreciate that until you see it laid out in front of you.
I think I see it slightly different. Eddie was a huge movie star when there wasn't no black people doing. I'm saying
The concept didn't exist.
Now look, there were guys before him, guys I work with, Richard Pryor and the guys like that. They were before him. But Eddie came on with that 48 Hours and Trading Places.
And Beverly Hills
and
Cop.
Beverly Hills Cop. They started making international money. You know how they talk about not shipping black shit out? Well, they surrounded him with white people. So he only had one black, so he couldn't call it a black movie.
Right.
So easy, as long as you don't call it a black movie, you have a black star. Denzel makes a fortune doing that right now. That's the key. If it's a black movie, then they say, oh shit, we'll write that.
You got to ghettoize it.
But if we put white folk around, look at Tyler Perry. Don't be foolish now. You see his next. You see that movie he got out right now.
The one with Eugene
There ain't
Levy
no black
and-
people in it.
You've got Eugene Levy and it's Denise Richards.
That's right.
Master P's son.
Yes.
Medea's family, something or other.
Yes,
It's-
Medea's family thing or what?
Yeah.
The point that I'm making is that everybody knows what crossover money means.
It's international money.
It's
It's the
international
exporting, and I think that's the thing that like I feel like we've kind of hit on a lot recently when we've had a lot of black people who've been in the industry for a while, and it's that sense of you get a greater accumulation of what it means for an entire industry, and not just an industry, but like the industry that is about representation and image and distribution, to say no, this thing is not profitable to the rest of the world. And that's a fucking powerful thing to break through. It's tough. It's the same thing where you've got the little level of you going to this Shakespeare festival. It's Shakespearean theater, it's the most classically trained of all.
That's
It's
right.
and you've got
That's
Kenneth
right.
Branagh, who's writing Thor, and everyone's
That's
like, oh
right.
my God, Thor! It's written by him. Like, why would he do such a thing? Whatever. And for you and James Avery to go to that thing and like to have that conversation where it's like, we are gonna fucking shatter this shit forever.
That's right.
So that
So
no
there'll
one
be
else.
no more discrimination.
Right, so that no one walks into a situation and they have to have this conversation.
right.
And thankfully, I mean, it's got to be very thankful for you, I'm guessing, to have
Yeah,
a peer
it's
that you went through a lot
gratifying.
of that with.
Yes,
you know?
yes.
And to be able to look back now and
yeah.
to not, I mean, I feel like in a lot of situations you have someone who kind of has to trailblaze like on a lonesome
guys
kind of
were
thing.
trailblazing before us, brother.
Right.
This never stops.
Well, it never
You know what
ends.
I'm
It,
saying?
it's just the next
It's like
cycle.
a continuum.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But there's a gratifying feeling though when you go into to a situation like segregation, and you say, you know what? I think we can integrate this with our art. You see, being an artist, this is what I've found out. Being an artist gives me a tremendous amount of power. Tremendous amount of power. Now, there are stars, and then there are actors, guys like me. And when the people come to see you in the theater or they see you in the movies, whatever, but when they come to see you in the theater, they know what kind of artist you are. They know that you have gravitas. You stand for something. You don't just fall for the Hollywood okey doke. You follow?
Oh, Mitch, he pulled out the okey doke. Mitch, he
We were
just got-
literally
he
just
just got
before the
introduced to
show.
okey doke. He just got introduced to okey doke. You have no idea how happy I am. I was trying to explain to him the okey doke today, right before he showed up.
Yeah, literally,
Mitch,
as you were pulling up.
Listen, Riffopolis, let's talk about the okey doke.
Teddy,
Let's talk about the okey doke. Put it on the board. Okey
Teddy
doke.
has used the phrase "okey doke" a
Yes.
few times,
Yes.
and I'm
Hit
always
him with
like,
the
I'm not going to slow down the riff to ask because it's always in the middle of a
Right.
like a.
You
a
never bring
heated-
out the okey doke at the beginning of a sentence. You got to hit him at the end
Yeah,
of it, baby.
so
That's how okey doke works.
and then I was
It
reading an
needs
interview.
context.
I was reading an interview with Spike Lee today, and he mentioned okey doke like twice, and I was like, Teddy's. I'm telling you, you and Spike Lee talk the same language, and he mentioned that okey doke twice. So I told him, I was like, I still don't know what the fuck this okey doke thing is all about. And he's like, you don't know the okie doke, and had to explain it to me. The left hand can't see what the right one's doing,
That's
kind of
right.
thing.
Yeah, see, so yeah, what's
That's the verbal explanation.
Now,
Teddy gave me the
get a
visual
real, let's get a
example.
real OG Superfly explanation of the okie doke on the record right now, Mitch,
right,
so
yeah,
that we can
by
have
all
some-
means.
John, now how did you come into the okie doke? Now, explain to the people out there what the okie doke is as a real savvy veteran.
It had to do with white folks. Mm-hmm. It
Always
had to do
does,
with
baby.
white folks talking out of both sides of their mouth and selling wolf tickets and running scams on people. And we started labeling it.
I'm sorry,
the
we're
okie
gonna
doke.
at some point you're also gonna have to explain wolf tickets, but go ahead for now.
Let me try another one.
No, keep
White-
going. I
hey,
just you
white
know,
folks.
Keep wolf
I'll
tickets.
say
White
it later.
folks start putting salt in the game.
Okay.
It was sweet.
You know what happens when you put salt in the wound, salt in the game. You understand, baby? You understand how that
So
works.
that
Sure.
came
Poison
out
in
of
the well.
some of that, and actually it started out talking about rednecks,
Right.
Okie,
Now,
Okies.
now, see, that's the thing. We've kind of
Like
we've hit
Oklahoma. Right,
it's
I
like
got you.
Redneck Island on country music television, where you like realize the level of white on white racism that's being propagated as well too. And you're like, don't you see what they're doing to you has been doing to us on like an exponential level right now. But it's that same sense of like, hey, listen. You're kind of starting to realize that we're shit on you. But what about these other motherfuckers
Right,
over
right.
here? They are the worst.
Right.
You should really hate these motherfuckers.
See?
They are fucking up everything.
Well, that's how they keep us.
That's
all
how the okie
fighting.
doke works.
Listen, that's how they keep us all fighting each other. Mm-hmm. Eh? And it keeps them. That's what we call it. Shit in the game. They keep it going like that. It's been a perpetual idea since.
Not mention that.
Well, it's Lewis Black's most recent special I watched the other day, and he has this thing that he says Republicans probably have the greatest advertisers available because somehow they've convinced poor people to fight on their behalf to keep them rich.
Right. Yes.
Like
yes.
they're
It is the most
standing in
brilliant
the
con
streets
of all
like
time.
They've gone
passionately.
for the okie doke.
Don't take the money away from people who have all the money
You're right.
that they
Gone.
won't give to me.
They've gone for the okie doke.
I think, as
Right,
John
right.
Wesley has pointed out here, the Republican Party has executed the greatest okie doke in the history of human civilization. It went. If we survive long enough as a people to fully chart its beginning and end, the record books will always indicate that the Republican Party pulled off the greatest okie doke of all time.
That's true.
And that shit is like we talking about you know what I'm saying? You get okie doke a motherfucker on the corner, son, out of like $20. That shit ain't nothing, son.
No.
You gonna okie doke a whole group of motherfuckers out of everything they care about forever. That is some real diabolical
Okie doke the whole
action.
middle class.
You
That's
gonna
right.
okie doke whole Appalachia, son?
Now,
Yeah,
notice
motherfucker.
how that okie doke sound a little like rope a doke.
A little bit. So that's the flip side. If
I
you
am familiar with the rope.
if you figure out if
I know
figure out the
boxing,
okie
I know
doke, you can
rope-a-doke.
move on to the rope a doke.
That's right.
Up with hope, down with
That's
dope.
right.
I know about the rope-a-dope.
But
You do.
the truth is, you learn this.
Follow a little
You
boxing.
have to learn the okie doke so that you don't get beat.
Right.
So you can keep yourself sane too.
You have some awareness, some consciousness.
You gotta get some awareness.
See? Because once you get that awareness, can't nobody fool you with all that okie doke.
That's the one thing that my dad always drilled into me when it was the term awareness.
Yes.
And it was that sense
Yes.
of have awareness about the world around
Yes,
you.
yes.
And if you get that fundamental idea instilled in you,
Yes, right.
everything flows from that. You understand?
Yes,
Because then
it does.
it's that sense of informed skepticism where everything you encounter is like, I don't know what you're about, but I can figure out what you're about very quickly because I need to keep on moving. And once that's open to you, once that skill is developed, it's one of those skills that I think you can attest to. It never atrophies away. You
No,
know what I mean?
never.
Once you plant that seed, it's there.
Yes.
To stay.
In other words, once you become aware, and I would say this for anybody. I'm not just talking about black people.
No, it's
I would
everything.
say anybody. Be aware of what your country is. What kind of system is this? It's a capitalist system, meaning it's about profit. It ain't about you.
Fundamentally.
Now, if you got to understand some of that to know what's happening in the political
Right.
circles.
You can't. It's the idea of your prism of interpreting information. If it doesn't have the fundamental level of awareness it needs
Yes,
to,
yes.
then none of the information gets critically processed as it
yes.
should, because you don't understand the root of where it's all coming from.
Guys, you got to know. See, the one thing about the 70s, man, we were all activists.
Right.
And you became an activist. You cats could walk out your apartment or out of your office here and walk out into the street, and there would be a rally going on.
perpetual rallies. I feel
Perpetual
like. Right.
rallies.
Neighborhoods
brother.
would just be
and
turned
so
into.
you were starting to develop awareness, whether you wanted it or not.
It wasn't about it because that was the whole point of the awareness, though, was to make you aware to the point that you could not escape
Yes,
it. It was
that's
everywhere
right.
you went.
had to become an activist. And bear in mind, we were following.
we would kill you.
We were following the coattails of the civil rights movement.
You're fresh out of it.
Fresh out of it.
So,
We're-
I mean, for things like you, I mean, like as you, like it's when you're talking about becoming an activist and integrating this Shakespearean theater company, that's not very far removed at all from watching things like the Civil Rights Act in '64, the Voting Rights Act in '65, the things like the Little Nine, integrating
right.
Little Rock,
Now you're starting to catch on to a point of view of an artist who has awareness. So he takes that into the work. He doesn't just go do the work. He comes into the work with a certain level of awareness. And now, how can I, in my case, how can I uplift my people with this work? That's where I'm operating from.
Right.
How can I how can I change the image of black folk with the work that I do?
And is that a consciousness that
It's
you've
a
had
conscious-
since you? Because
yes.
now, as someone, it's interesting to hear you talk about being an artist, and also hear you say that artistry and the theater and acting and such is something that you kind of stumbled into, and that wasn't really what you intended to.
Yeah, that's right.
But hearing how you fell into that, but still found a way to merge those two paths together with
Yes.
your civil
Yes.
justice
Yes, sir.
aspects.
Yes, sir.
And so I guess as and this is one of the things that Mitch and I kind of always are striving for in this forum. It's that sense of just being able to represent people as they actually are and hear them voice that representation. So were you always aware of what it meant for you to be a black artist, not just an actor, but an artist at that time that you were coming
it took
into?
a while. It took a while. I'll tell you why. I took my BA in political science, and as I said, I was headed to law school. I knew how to be an activist in that area. I'd watched Thurgood Marshall and the guys. And
So
I
you
said,
understood those theatrics.
Yes, I understand that. I did not know for a long time when, and I hate to go here with you guys.
No,
but
this
when
is-
God moved me into acting, because I was headed someplace else entirely, and all of a sudden I got swept up in a power beyond me, right? It took a while, though. I went to New York, and I saw, this was 1977, actually. I saw these South Africans for the first time in a play. And it was my first level of awareness that you could talk about political and social problems in a play. And I went, oh my God. That was the first seed for becoming aware of an artist's power.
Now, where did this fall within South Africa and its own apartheid and that collapsing?
At that time, it was heavy. We were trying to get Nelson Mandela out.
He was still in prison.
He was still in prison. They were coming here to this country to make us Americans. Listen, man, we had no awareness of South Africa. Us black folk here, white folk, well, rich white folk knew, but we didn't know anything about South
Well, they
Africa.
knew because of the threat.
No, they were doing business.
Well,
there.
I mean, they're doing business there, but they
Yes.
also knew what would happen if
If they found out.
Right.
I'll just give you guys a little sidebar. You guys know Robert Guillaume, don't you? Benson. You know who that is?
Okay, yeah.
His show was banned from South Africa back in the day because they didn't want anybody acting like a black man like that. Well, intelligent, articulate, and could speak
with
back
actual
to-
humanity.
With actual humanity, could talk back to a white person. No. They would have to leave the country and cross borders to go and watch Benson. That's how heavy that stuff was, man. When I'm just a youngster coming into the game.
I feel like that to me, if I may,
ahead.
the movie Planet of the Apes.
That's what I was thinking right now.
Yeah, in that movie, the part where God, I always forget his name, Charles
Heston.
Lawton?
Charlton Heston.
Charlton
Yeah.
Heston.
When Charlton Heston finally says, "Get your hands off me, you damn dirty ape," and it's this big shocking moment. To me, that changes the game entirely because it's easy in a sense that if you look at it from the tables are turned. If we've got apes in cages at the zoo and things like that. If you went to the zoo and the ape came up and was like, "Man, it is hot today," you fucking we gotta let this. we gotta let this dude out. He's got some shit to say. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I felt like to me that was the entirety of like that to me was the crux of the film.
Mm-hmm.
What pissed me off is like Tim Burton from fucking Frame One, The Humans Are
The
Talking.
remake with
And I'm just going. Did you miss the movie? Did you not realize like if you flip them
don't be
things
bad
around,
mouth my buddy Tim Burton. Now.
I will badmouth him all day long.
I was
I'm
in
sorry.
Big Fish with him.
It was a good film. It was a good film.
No, listen.
That was probably the last one I thoroughly enjoyed. I do love that movie. I have it on DVD. It's a good movie. I'm just saying that it seems odd to me that you would take away such a because it
Powerful
was from
moment.
especially
It's the whole crux
from a
of it.
social
Yes.
context, especially when you talk about apartheid
yes,
and things
yes.
like that. If you're saying like it's more than just okay they've got different color skin and that makes us uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
If you're literally treating these people as inhuman and
That's
non-human,
right. That's right.
like in France they used to have black people in the zoo, literally behind cages.
Well, that's
They were aborigines and things like this that didn't speak English. And so in a sense that was that thing where well it's easier because we can't understand them anyway. They're just clicking at us. Come see the crazy clicky guy in the zoo, which you'd think. I mean, it's unconscionable at this point, but you know.
Well, no, it's
very
good.
similar to
I'm
that, anyway.
glad you brought that up because in college I did a production of the play Venus that centers on the Venus Hottentot, which is a very famous situation. You're familiar with that one, but it's I can't remember her actual name, but it was this African woman who had a large posterior, and they brought her
Hottentot women. From
right.
the
It's a
tribe.
Hottentot. It's from the tribe, so she's a Venus Hottentot. So they bring her to France, England, in Europe, and she is paraded around and toured around, and there's that whole science industry that is dedicated to proving racial superiority. So she is. Then people, and so all this
eugenics and such,
right?
yeah,
so,
yeah.
but that whole idea of you talking about you're literally an exhibit for people to view as like you're an exotic,
Yes.
but that's where that strain comes from because 200 years ago you literally were an exotic thing that we snatched up and brought for everyone's
That's
amusement.
Right,
and the
right.
thing about the play, it's a Susan Laurie Parks, I believe is her name.
That's who it is.
And it's a very difficult and challenging production to put on because it's not traditional at all. It's a lot of beats and rhythms and disjointed dialogue and such.
It's non-linear.
Yeah, it's very nonlinear. Thank you. And the thing about it, I played the character, the Negro Resurrectionist, who kind of is the MC of everyone, sort of the chorus, if you will, and kind of bringing things together. Kind of goes in and out of the fourth wall, but a lot of what he says are actual historical documents and scientific, breakdowns and such. And so
Anthropological.
right, you have
findings
the
and-
actual anthropological study of what they said in scientific presentations about this woman and how it was extrapolated to the exotic Negro species at large. And it was a very disorienting thing. And like I didn't even want to audition for it, but like I had to get pressured into it by.
But you know what Susan was up to?
Mm-hmm.
She was teaching that in the beginning of mankind, it all started in Africa.
Right.
And it was the Hottentot woman who had the first babies in the world. It branched out all over the world since and then taken on all kind of different strains and colors. But here it is.
We all come from large posteriors. I get it.
You do. You really do, my brother.
I'm gonna put that on
the board.
See, I'm sitting in a genetics class in 73, and I'm the only black guy in the class.
Now, where are you going
This
to
is
school?
the
at?
University of San Diego then.
Okay, you're doing okay. Still
Yeah.
in there.
So I'm sitting in this class, kind of half doodling, man, and while I'm bored, and the teacher says, I hear the teacher say, brown eyes it can make blue eyes, but blue eyes can't make brown eyes. Oh shit! I raised my hand. Excuse me, sir. Yes, John. I said, can you repeat that, please? I'm sorry. He said, yes, John. 2 brown-eyed people can get together and make a blue-eyed person, but 2 blue-eyed people can't get together and make a brown-eyed person. I said, can I follow up on that? He said, yeah. I said, so what you're saying then is that black people had to create white people. He said, that's exactly what I'm saying, John. I said, oh, thank you very much. I was the
I'm
new
checking
king.
out. I want the rest of my
That's
tuition
right.
back, motherfuckers. I have come for
I have
everything
come.
I needed. I'm out.
I am the man. Now, listen, I laugh about that, but I was if I'd had
That's gotta be a pretty-
If I had an inferiority complex, it was removed that
Right.
day.
That's
my
profound,
brother.
I feel like.
It was profound. It was like an epiphany, man, and it shot me on a road to consciousness. You know, you're talking about awareness. That shot me. I started digging up everything I could find, looking for the truth. You know, they call our history, that is the history of the United States, his story, not yours, because yours is in Africa.
Right.
That's where your history is. But we're talking his story. Well, there's something to that. Once you start digging around, you start finding out we've been kind of bamboozled, actually, because Spike Lee
The
said
Spike
it.
Lee reference. Hit him with
But
the
he
okey
took
doke.
it from Malcolm X.
Right.
I mean, we really have. That's what awareness does. It takes you out of that bamboozled thing and makes
Takes you out of the
aware.
okey doke, man.
It takes you out
It
of
makes
the
you, it's the
okey-doke.
difference between being hit with the okey doke and being like, damn, they got me with the okey doke, versus seeing the okey doke happening and then like real Matrix like slow time and doing enough
Guys,
to
here's what I
disregard
want-
it.
You know, we were talking earlier. Okay, so we were talking about South Africa. I go and see, what is this, 82? Denzel Washington playing Stephen Biko. And he was fabulous.
In South Africa.
In South Africa,
In a theater.
and they are teaching with this movie. In other words, there's a way for the artist, because Denzel couldn't talk about South Africa, but he could play a character in a movie that could talk about it. And that's what I do. See,
Right.
I look for ways as an artist to express whatever it is I want to express in that context. And that's what I mean about the power of the artist. See? Artists are very powerful because you can't tell them anything. They're free.
It is true.
right, yeah.
I think
They're
that's one. Of
free.
the, I think that's one of the, Mitch and I have actually. You know, we were talking about this a little bit earlier today, kind of thing, where it's that sense of what it realizes, what it means to realize what freedom is,
Yes.
and not that abstract fucking like Braveheart freedom, but
No.
but to really get
What
to a
is that?
place where you understand if you can be personally free, what you can then do with your own
Yes.
sense of self and your own
Yes.
purpose of self.
Yes.
And then I think it's kind of like, and this is what I was saying to Mitch. It's like we were going back and forth about this idea of people who have that freedom and who have always had it. They have that fundamental understanding of what it means and what it represents for people who don't even know what that freedom exists to all of a sudden find it and realize that they can get it. And if they can get it, then who else can get it?
Yes.
And then everything else is fucked. Everything is fucked if that happens. You know, if it's that sense of like, if Mitch and I can do a show like this in this studio that we have here right now, just two dudes who just fucking enjoy each other's company, just fucking around, bringing in interesting people to talk about interesting things, and we can build people or get enough people to be interested in this organically, that all of a sudden this thing called money flows behind it, and then all of a sudden we have access to things we never had access to before. Then that's a fucking powerful thing.
It's very powerful.
Especially if it's two dudes just like us, and they're like, "Well, holy shit,
Yes.
these dudes are just fucking talking around with people. I can do
Yeah,
some
but
shit like
listen,
this."
you two cats say no bullshit, motherfucker. Y'all
thank
talk
you.
that shit. But
Well,
see,
thank you.
I didn't come here and found out you guys got some gravitas going on. Woohoo! Go ahead, you players. Under the guise.
Gravitas riffing.
Gravitas.
Gravitas ripping.
Well, we can put gravitas riffing on the board
Yeah,
right
yeah,
now.
it's good.
You
I
go,
like
there
it.
it is.
I like
We're
it.
gonna
I
put
like
The
it.
gravitas.
point is that this discussion we're having is far more substantive than I thought I was going to walk into.
Boom! That's how the riffing works, baby. That's how the riffing works.
see, you-
We've
y'all
been
working
hearing that
it.
a lot lately, and
Well,
it's
you know-
surprising to me because it's like it's. I mean, when you get down to it really just the way that the show even came to be was like, you know, when you're hanging out with a bunch of friends, especially like comedians, as we tend to do,
God for comedians.
the realness comes out so quick. I mean, you'll have if you go to a
y'all
party,
the freest
of,
motherfuckers out there. You too, motherfuckers.
Oh,
because
you.
guess what?
I'm blushing
if,
now.
If you can take something and make us laugh at it, and y'all can take something, be ugly in a motherfucker, and make us laugh at it. Richard Pryor was brilliant at that shit.
Oh yeah,
He was
Rich
a
Brown's my
master
favorite.
at it.
Yeah.
Because he could come out. I remember he came back from the heart attack.
Because you take the fear and the power away. If you can sort of, like, if somebody's standing up there, Like there's kind of almost nothing funnier to me really than sort of overbearing dictator types. Like Kim Jong Il jokes make me giggle something furious because it's,
the Kim Jong Il looking at stuff.
oh my god,
Which is just pictures of him looking at things.
is this bread? No, this is a machine.
That shit makes
is
me
this
laugh
bread?
so
is this
hard,
a bagel?
man.
What is this? Yeah,
But you can also
because
do-
it's that because you can't beat humor. There's no like upper hand on it. Like somebody's like, you fucking look like an idiot, and they're just laughing. You can beat them to within an inch of their life, but you can't kill the joke. You can't make it not funny anymore because it's still funny to me. You know what I mean?
I
it's
think
that
humor
kind of
has
thing.
a way. If it weren't for humor and the ability to laugh, we couldn't get through, man. We couldn't get through
No,
a day.
you
Well, that's-
couldn't.
yeah. I
You
mean,
you wouldn't be able to hang.
We-
so
we'd be
they-
all insane. And
What I'm saying is, insofar as the show is you get a bunch of comedians together, and the conversation gets so real so quick, but it's still funny, but it gets immediately into the heart of whatever the issue
Yes,
is. From something as basic
Yes.
as potato chips,
Right.
all of a sudden we're getting into conspiracies within like 3 minutes.
Right.
And so I was
All
like,
the-
You know that motherfuckers at Ruffles.
trying to pull that out okey doke by giving him some ridges and shit. Fuck that.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
the thing is, all the-
So
all
that's
the heavy
that's what
cats-
this was about. Was like, let's get those, let's get that real and just broadcast that, because so many of the podcasts I listen to are so interviewy, where
Yeah,
it's like nobody
yeah.
gets real, and you're like, listen, I've heard this
that's
story a
true.
million times, man. So it's interesting because that's all we were. I mean, it's really just, hey, let's three come together and have a conversation, and
No.
we're just gonna be recording
Now,
it.
you're on to
but
something
surprisingly,
here.
it's worked out.
But
So
see, you're on to something, because there's the key word. I've written a book called Secrets.
Yes.
Know Thyself. Me and Robert Guillaume wrote this book. It started out a handbook for minority actors. In all my studies of acting and so forth, I studied Shakespeare and Chekhov and Ibsen and all of these cats.
Sure.
But I never studied anybody to tell me anything about me. So we decided, well, maybe we ought to make that book. But the idea is that we're not trying to give any prescriptions. We call them musings.
Yeah,
Because
yeah, I like it.
we're simply throwing ideas up and say, what do you think, guys? And we're inviting the audience, when we hit the road, we're inviting the audience to come in and have a conversation about it. So what's up with you, man? And we'll be reading something from the book, and you say, hey, wait a minute, man. You know, I had a thing happen to me. Oh, really? And we're going to stop, talk to you a while, see what you're talking about, and then we'll pick up and we'll read some more. But the idea is to have a conversation.
are you still doing this?
We're about to start it.
Okay, I like
We-
this.
we What's
the
I-
book
I
called
really
again?
like
It's
this.
called Secrets. Take a look at yourself. And what we're asking people to do, particularly you, I'm pointing at the brother here, particularly you,
Let the record show.
Let the record show.
Let the record
Okay.
show. Mr. Wesley pointed at Mr. Tutson.
Mr. Tutson. I would argue that Mr. Tutson doesn't know much about himself, and he's a very gifted, articulate, intelligent man. But I would say this only from the point of view that none of us know much about ourselves until we actually start to do the work to dig up the treasures and dig in. For example, the way that you talk and you move and you act. See, if I had your mom and dad here, I'd get a real clear vision of who you are, because you'd be obviously the product of those two people. And your whole DNA is them. You see what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is that when people need to know themselves, and this is for actors, the way that you separate yourself from the next actor is to bring your own authentic self into the room. Don't bring no phony stuff up in here. And that's what separates you, because you're different, my brother, from everybody else I know. And that's what separates you and makes you the star that you are. You'll never be a star trying to be like somebody else. You're just a copycat, an imitator.
Right.
But when you know who you are, this goes for the Reverend over here too. When you understand who you are, your
Well,
history,
now?
your family, and you can go ahead and be yourself and be entirely well within your rights to become a star.
No, I think that's great, and I think that's one of the things, kind of like what Mitch is saying, where what's great about a conversation like this is that someone such as yourself can come into a situation like this, and we have our own distinctive, very disparate audience that's out there with their own cultural experiences, and then you mentioned someone like James Avery, just kind of off the cuff, and they're like, oh, wait a minute, I know that person.
That's Uncle Phil.
Right? But then all of a sudden now their entire contextualization of him has shifted once they realize how he ended up in a thing like Fresh Prince as this well-rounded father figure in this affluent black, family in this, affluent white neighborhood, and going to the country club and having the, heart-to-hearts with his son and taking in the rascally black kid from West Philadelphia. All of a sudden that activism of what that kind of media represents, changes.
Well, check this out, though. I guess we'll riff on Avery a little bit. Avery, don't get mad now. James Avery was, when we were at City College together in the early 70s, and he was kind of a hippie. That is to say, he never hung out with nobody. He wasn't a groupie type guy. And he was always brilliant and always had a book. He was always reading something.
Very learned.
Very learned, my brother. But really, he was always broke. College people are broke.
Yeah, we know.
Y'all know all about it. And since James Avery and I were both veterans, we were going to school on our GI Bill. See? So that's part of the reason me and him got together. But the thing about it is, we were worried about James Avery because he never had any money. He wore sandals all the time. He looked like a hippie. We didn't know what.
Real downtrodden.
Oh, brother, we didn't know what to think about him. And Avery went and smoked everybody.
Yeah,
because
right?
all of a sudden, we all knew he was a great actor because we all became a family of actors.
I'm sure it was very tight-knit. It was not,
we
not
were
a
very
lot.
tight.
Not a
No,
lot
we
of
were
people.
tight. And we were the option for the Old Globe in San Diego. That's the elitist theater. There was no La Jolla Playhouse. There was no.
It was just one, and you had to get in.
Yeah, if you could.
If you could, right.
And they weren't hiring us in those days.
You had to kick that shit open.
That's it.
Bring the motherfucking ruckus.
Bring the motherfucking ruckus.
Yeah, it is. It is. But Avery, anyway, Avery always was, I suppose, superior to most people intellectually. He's big old. See, he defied stereotypes with Uncle Phil, because all of a sudden you saw for the first time in television a big man who wasn't a big brute.
Right.
Or a big bully.
Big belly, but sophisticated. Big words.
Articulate.
Right.
Rich.
Who could turn it.
Successful.
He could turn on a dime to be very aggressive
And guess
or assertive.
what, guys? Funny as hell.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing. Funny.
Yeah.
Funny. When we got to town, there used to be a casting director here, and his name was Melvin Johnson. Was out at Universal Studios. This is 1983. And so we went to see him because we knew him from San Diego. And he's doing good up here. So Avery says, let's go by and see this guy. So we stopped in his office. And you know what he did? He talked to us. We caught up on stuff. And then he said this. He said, okay, John, let me start with you. He said, you're going to work. He said, because you're talented, man. He said, but they're not going to know what to do with you, man. You're articulate. You're handsome. You're black. They already got Denzel, babe. They only do one at a time,
Right.
So, but just be cool,
The
baby.
dam is clogged.
He said, but just be cool, because when you start to get that gray in your hair, man, that's when they're going to start responding to you, see? And he jumped over there. He said, Avery, you're going to work all the time. You're going to be everybody's uncle, father, judge, baby. They love you. They're going to love you. Blah, blah. You see what happened, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Now, thank God this guy schooled us. So he was schooling me for the long haul.
Setting the expectations.
Yeah,
Right.
he was telling me what your long haul gonna be.
You got to play the long
and
game.
don't get discouraged.
Right.
Don't get discouraged, brother. Just stay in and
Pick your spots.
Avery, you don't worry about it. You're gonna be, and of course, because he's a perfect quote stereotype for what Hollywood.
He fits the
likes.
mold very well.
He fits the mold, but even more than that, he's a brilliant.
Well, he
actor.
fits the mold, and he knows what to do with it and turn it
Yes.
into something very distinctive and very
He
unique.
turns it into his.
Right.
Now let's go back to my title, Secrets. Know Thyself. That's what Avery does with all the material. He turns it right into James Avery's material. And we love it.
Right.
Because we see it as truth. We don't catch him acting, quote unquote.
Right.
It's always truthful when we look at him. We say, oh shit, I'm believing that. That's how you.
Well,
do it.
and you can see in that role now after everything you're talking about with an Uncle Phil and the episodes where he's got his mom coming back from the more rural, eastern part or whatever, and he's
Atlantic City.
right? And he's dealing with the fact that he was more of an activist
That's
in
right.
his younger days,
Yes.
and he's got friends coming in who are on the lam from the FBI and stuff, and the radicalism that the kids are confronting, and that doesn't all of a sudden seem like some sort of storyline rolled out so much as you can feel that presence infusing, especially as the father figure in that whole narrative there. You can feel that real life authenticity fueling everything.
I'll show you what awareness does, because Avery and I are very much aware. So they hire me to come on the show to do an episode, and they called me up in the office. John, listen, you and Avery have been friends for a very long time. We know you guys are close. We've written an episode. Is there anything that Avery could do to cause him to hit you? And I very quickly said no. Yeah, very quickly. I didn't even think about it because Avery's not a violent man. So, and also, that wouldn't happen. But at any rate, at any rate, I said no. They said, well,
Let the
listen.
record show Mr. Wesley does not get okey doked even by.
No, not by nobody.
Only person that's okey doking me is me, damn it. You dig?
So what happens, they give me the scene, I read it, and it's kind of funny, but it doesn't work because it's got me saying something to cause him to, and it's got me saying something about his dad. So I said, well, no, in our community, you say something about a brother's mama,
Right.
you're going to get knocked out quickly.
Mad quick.
They said, So I went downstairs. Now here's where the awareness comes in. It's a Friday. Saturday, I go to Avery's house. I say, Avery, listen to this, man. I'm a child psychologist. You're a lawyer. What are they trying to say about black people? That we cannot resolve issues without going into violence? What the fuck are they saying here?
This is the episode where Ashley is being picked on.
Yes.
Right?
I'm the doctor.
And they invite the parents
Yes.
over to
Yes.
the house to
Yes.
resolve things
Yes,
because she's
yes,
being
yes,
picked on by
yes.
this older, larger girl. And
That's right.
So you've got these two sophisticated black elite families.
That's right.
Dealing with a very common problem.
That's right. Now check this out. So I said to Avery.
Wait, was that the one where Will Smith teaches how to fight by saying,
Yeah.
mind your business, that's
Yes,
all.
that's-
All
That's right.
I remember this episode.
So now I said to Avery, I said, here's what's got to happen, man. I've got to play this guy. He's got to be so disgusting that the audience wants you to knock his ass out, right? Because otherwise, you're doing damage to Uncle Phil. You've reduced him to Rodney King or some
Right.
goddamn body.
You caricatured.
You've caricatured him. But if we play this right, and by the way, I got to talk about your mama. And as soon as I said mama, he said, I'll knock your little
Well, you
ass out.
stand up. Well, I think it's when you stand up.
I mean,
yeah.
I didn't even get mama out of my
No,
mouth.
yeah.
Avery said, I'll knock your little ass out.
Yeah.
That's how it got in the script.
And it's so, and thinking back on now, hearing you say all that, the scene flows very, very fluidly in my mind, where that it has that great crescendo of you just kind of being like, your mama. And it's that real
was
yo,
real, too.
I'm very sophisticated, but I'm gonna pop off right
That's
now,
right.
son. I might be
That's
in your
right.
house, but I'm talking about your motherfucking mama, son. Don't think
That's
I
right.
don't know where you come from, motherfucker.
Exactly.
And then bam, and it's that sense of just but that's very every person
look
quality.
how Avery played it. After he hit me, if you look at him, he grabs his, oh shit, I didn't mean to do
Right.
that. He spends the rest of the thing saying, oh,
Icing his hand.
yes, and I didn't.
Talking about the ramifications of
Yes.
it, and he gets to wax philosophically about the fact of I had the passions take
Yes.
over me, but
Yes,
this is not
yes,
the way
yes.
we handle it. And
That's
stuff.
right.
And you get that contrast to it's a very famous scene with Will
Yes.
teaching Ashley how to fight. And that's like people quote that scene all the time. It's a very memorable
Yes.
episode, but it ends with him rebutting and rebuking all that and
Yes, that's
being
right.
like, you know what? Yes,
That was the teaching moment.
exactly.
Now, when we got to the table read that Monday, because this was a Saturday we had the talk, here's what Avery did. Avery's 6'4", 6'5".
Big man.
I'm 5'11". So Avery says, John, stand up, will you? I stand up. Avery stands up and he looks at the writers. He said, guys, what does this look like? You know, damn. And I was saying, go Abe, go Abe. Because what we were doing, we're making them shape the writing. They'd written something glib and ridiculous. We wanted
They
them
hadn't
to shape
tailored
it.
it to the
They
actual
hadn't
talent.
tailored it
Yeah.
till we came in and put our heads. They said, no, this got to get and put that. This is awareness, my brother.
No, I feel like this is a testament to what you've been saying with that sense of, you have the ability to look in yourself and be able to walk into a moment where the script has been handed to you, and this is this sort of archetype that you're working with. But you say, hey, look, these are the two actual real individuals that are coming to you before right now, and there's a great history in this moment with a subtext that you can't even fully appreciate that we are trying to lay out for you.
Yes, that's right.
We are laying out exactly what this representation that's going to be captured right now is going to have shockwaves upon shockwaves. So maybe we should consider doing this in a different way.
There are ramifications to this. But that's a very good example of the artist can look at a piece and say, you know what? I'm going to have to fix this.
Right, you've given me something to work with. But
You don't have to say anything anyway, because it's important that the actor understands that he owns the performance. He gets last say-so about how it's played. He can collaborate with the director, but he gets to say, I hear what you're saying, but you know what? I don't think I can do that. And he's well within his rights, and he's not being difficult. He's being honest.
It's about integrity.
There you go. It's about integrity.
now this is one that I was interested in, and Mitch and I didn't even know that this was a thing that it existed. But the Dirty Dancing TV series back in the '80s, you Mr. Sweets
like,
Walker,
you motherfuckers.
Mr. Sweets Walker, show you right, Sweets
you
Walker.
right. And I made that name up. You know, in the
Yeah, you
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah, you did.
In the movie,
John Wesley made that shit up. Sweets Walker.
The guy's name was Honey in the movie. And I said to the producer, ain't nobody going to be running around calling me Honey all night. I don't think so. And so the producer...
Honey, this is your scene, honey. Honey, when
You see what I mean?
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Sweets.
Now, lucky...
Hey, Sweets.
Lucky for...
Yeah, Sweets Walker, much better.
Walker.
Yeah,
He's got some gravitas to
See,
it.
and I'm the band leader. So that sounded right.
So
to
how
me.
did this? Like, how did that
Yeah,
even
Honey's
happen
not
as a
a
thing? Like, we
band
didn't
leader
even
name.
know that.
I know,
So
we
like,
came
how
and
did you?
went, man. This is
So
cold.
how did you even end up Dirty Dancing TV series? John Wesley, Sweets Walker. Go.
Yeah, this is crazy, man.
I just want a
they made
spin-off
the
series
movie.
called Sweets Walker.
How
No,
did that
that's what I'm
shit?
saying.
How that
Yeah.
shit didn't happen? We'll never know.
You know
I mean,
what?
I'm saying?
I'd be a big
Just
star
by
right
itself,
now.
man.
Look, check-
I would bring
Fuck
back
all that.
Sweets Walker the adult years. You
That's
understand what I'm
right.
saying?
Yeah.
Well, actually, you guys, seriously, all right. So we all know the movie is huge. So CBS decides to make a series. The producer is a fella who you guys will know by the name of Steve Tisch. Did Forrest Gump? Did Glory? Did some of the
Big stuff.
Well, this guy, and at that time, his uncle is a CEO of CBS. He's Lawrence Tisch. And so, anyway, we get an order for 13 episodes. Backtrack. I come in, I'm living in the Bay Area. I come down to do an audition for a commercial. It's some kind of Memorial Day weekend or something. And I'm going to go right back to the Bay Area. I stop by James Avery's house because I get calls there. And there's a call for me saying, it's 12 o'clock. I've got a 3 o'clock meeting with producers for a series regular on a series called Dirty Dancing. I said, oh. Now,
Did you
look,
know about the movie? But
I
you
didn't
knew.
know anything.
Oh.
I called the casting director directly, and I said, this is John. John, oh, yes, you're there. Oh, good. Are you going to be able to make the meeting? I said, I haven't seen the script. What? You've not seen the script? I said, oh, well, I don't think this is going to be able to. I said, well, wait a minute. Is this a half hour? And she said, yeah. Well, why don't I come down now and read the script? I think I couldn't be ready for 3 o'clock. It's 12. Oh, okay, John, come on down. So I come down. I pick up the script. The script says this guy's 70 years old. I'm 34.
We're totally bringing back Sweets Walker, son. We're going to bring back Sweets Walker, baby. Riffopolis, mark the shit down.
So anyway, I read the 2 scenes that they have for me to read. But I get the advantage of reading the whole script, and I come up with an idea. So I go into the room to read for the producers, and I say, guys, this doesn't make any sense. This guy's 70, I'm 40, whatever it is. But if you let me read the first scene that opens the thing, I think I can establish the character, and then I can justify these 2 scenes. There was about 6 people in the room. They all looked at each other like, well, okay. So I did the scene. they all kind of leaned into one another. I've never seen this happen.
They did the huddle thing. They did
did the
the
huddle.
hush. The hush. Like,
They did the huddle on me.
God, this black guy just came in and told
You
us
see?
everything.
Now they come back out of the thing and say, John, read the second scene. I read the second scene. They went back into the huddle.
We need to see more.
Yes.
Wait, this Negro is magical.
Actually, we got to shoot this thing in 3 days.
Is he related to Bagger Vance?
Yes, I think he is. John, we'll come to network on Monday. I said, oh, okay. I leave out. Because they come up out of the huddle. Casting director says, you're going to network on Monday. I leave. Shit. I come in that Monday to go to network. I'm the only motherfucker at network day. In other words, they usually have 3 or 4 guys.
Right, yeah.
I'm the only guy there. Steve Tisch, it turns out, had already said, that's my man. And so I got picked.
That's my Sweets Walker.
That's
right there.
And then told me. He said,
Sweet walking all over the place.
here's what
Did
he-
you have an original name in the script?
Yeah, Honey.
Honey. Oh, so you were just gonna be Honey again?
His name was Honey Coles.
That shit is dumb.
That's what I thought. I said, I don't want to be called that because people will be calling me Honey all day. I'm
So
not-
how did Sweets Walker come up?
Well, he asked me to make up a name. So I loved Howard Rollins' Cole House Walker Jr. in Ragtime. And then I knew there was a saxophone player named Sweets. I said, oh, shit,
You
Sweets
go put
Walker.
the sax. You go put the
Yeah,
jazz. You go
yeah,
put the jazz and the
yeah,
ragtime together.
yeah,
Who you?
yeah,
what
that
you
works.
doing?
That worked.
What you
And it
doing?
was sweet, and they made a big
Honey
deal.
Jones, by the way, that's a white intern came up with that.
See?
I mean, that's,
See? The Rev know what he's talking about.
that's
I
he
could
just
just-
sat down and was like, what's a black name? Honey Jones. Gotta be a Jones. Gotta be a Jones.
Yes.
And honey because, well, that's sort of feminine, but he'll rise above that. Yeah, this'll.
Let me tell you what
I'll go ask my 5 white friends what they think. And they're gonna be like, yeah, Honey Jones, that sounds like a black dude. You wanna hit off this or what? Yeah, that's exactly what happened there.
It
Yeah.
turns out Steve Tisch is a man with awareness.
Which, by the way, I just want to point out, if a white guy came up with Sweets Walker, he'd have to explain it for like 6 years.
Yeah, right.
Like, why Sweets Walker? Well, you see, no, listen.
And the
we
story
can't-
would be
yeah.
nowhere near as cool as, well, ragtime over
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
And then they got the saxophone player. And I put that shit together. Sweets Walker, motherfucker. Bam! So you're right.
So what happened was, Steve, we had our first meeting, and this is why we're not on the air. Well, there's a couple of reasons. We didn't have.
That was a good
we,
start.
We didn't have the star of the dancer.
Well,
Swayze.
I can imagine.
We didn't have Patrick Swayze. Now let's get real
I
here.
got you.
Right.
I got you.
We didn't even have that girl who was in that
So,
movie.
like, you watch reboots and things like that happen today where they are just mining the 80s for everything that they have.
Total Recall.
I've got to imagine it's got to be fascinating to me. And you didn't have any really realization of what Dirty Dancing was, you're saying, when you went into the TV series. But, like, now, putting it all together, to see that they tried to make a TV series out of Dirty Dancing without any of the originals, that shit has got to just be like,
And they
what?
weren't coming to television. They were
To be
movie
fair, that's
stars.
all. That
Right.
has. I think this is the thing that sort of happens in Hollywood.
Yeah,
is
it
for every
happens
time
all
that
the
I,
time.
for every time that I go, this is a terrible fucking idea. It's a terrible idea, and it's never worked. There's always like, what about? It's worked once. Buffy the Vampire Slayer. The movie was whatever. TV show,
But we-
fucking huge
and
success.
guess
What,
what?
9 seasons or whatever
Right.
it was?
And guess what? We weren't the first, by any stretch of the imagination, to try to make a movie into a series. It really happens more frequently than y'all
Right.
know. They just never get off the ground.
They
That's
never
what I'm
make it
saying,
as
yeah.
far as
I'm
you
saying, like,
But Steve
it-
Tisch wanted to do something different. He told us at the first meeting, he said, all right, Patrick, can't remember his last name. His mother was very famous. Anyway, Patrick, you got to bring in the 16-year-olds with your dancing and so forth and all of that. John, you're going to be telling the civil rights story because this takes place 63.
So this is how he was laying down.
This is how he was laying the groundwork for
before you even really hit any filming
before
or
we
anything.
hit anything. That
Okay.
first meeting, man, I started getting excited, dude. I said, oh, shit.
This could be something you're going
This
in.
gonna
This,
be some
you're
shit.
right on the verge of going into the 90s. You know what I'm saying?
You
This is
know,
some big
I'm
shit.
saying this is. It turns out that they wrote an episode. I'm show you how serious he was. On the 11th episode was my show, and I worked at a place up in the Catskills. That's where I had my trio up there, and I go up there I was supposed to be like Sammy Davis Jr. and all these big guys who go there for the summers. That was my job. So
Sweet.
the guy from the Bruce Springfield band, the sax.
Oh, the East Street Band.
Yeah, it's the brother, the saxophone.
oh,
player,
yeah,
Clarence. They wrote an episode where Clarence comes to see me. They won't let him in the fucking hotel. And this is how we integrated because Sweets goes into action and so forth. Well, they couldn't get him. So they called me at home. They said, John, we couldn't get Clarence, but we've written an episode about an integrated love affair. I said, what the fuck? I said, ain't nobody told me a goddamn thing. Oh, no, John, listen. We want to talk to you about what are your feelings about it, and we're going to write the script around that. Oh, I said, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, sure, I'll come in tomorrow. They interview me, ask me what I think about any. They started to write the script. They wrote a script, handed it to me. I looked at it, tweaked it, give it back to them with notes. They wrote another script with notes. And then finally the producer, Steve, came to me on the third script. He said, John, from now on, you talk directly to me. You don't talk to anybody else about this. You talk directly to me. Because this episode was so important. They were trying to win it. They were trying to get an Emmy with this.
They're going real big.
They had the actor.
Right.
And we had cast the right woman.
So it was kind of a showcase, basically.
It was really, and they were trying to stay on the air. They knew if they could get.
And it was a real short run.
Brother,
you guys,
13 and
we
we
got
were out.
one season,
Boom.
right? Yeah. So
13
this
and we
is
were out.
yeah. So this is
We had
towards
no
the end.
ratings.
Yeah.
None. But that's that. But he had already laid out what we had to do. This guy had to bring in the white folks because the white folks made the movie big. So Patrick, why can't I remember his last name?
Swayze.
No.
Swayze.
No. Now I'm talking about an R show.
Oh, I'm
His
sorry.
name is Patrick.
I'm sorry.
And the girl who's
Well played.
the
Yeah, I
hot
was like-
Latina from Edward James almost had a show, series on the air. Her name is Condola.
Contessa?
Con-
I don't know.
That one. She was our dancer. She was hot. She should. We'd have had a series if they would have went with her. But
Muy caliente.
But of course, she wasn't. They were the two stuff, and they couldn't get. And this guy couldn't dance, man. I'm pointing at.
Yeah, right. It's a tough break, Mitch.
I'm sorry,
It's a
Mitch.
real tough
I'm
break.
just pointing at you.
Listen,
man.
I can't dance. It's fine. I got it. I got
You
it.
gotta wear a real
Now, how you
crown
gonna-
of thorns
wait,
right
I
now.
know
Think
it's pretty
about it.
easy to look at me and go, that motherfucker can't dance.
Think about it.
I
a
get it.
second.
I get
How
it.
you gonna do a dance show and you ain't got nobody who can dance? Come on, babe.
Tough break.
I started working with him, bro.
Yeah, Sweets
I
Walker
was-
going to teach him how to
I
jig.
started teaching him some
Behind the
moves, man.
camera, off the camera,
Yeah,
Sweets
man.
Walker, you got you covered, baby.
Yeah.
I started trying to because I wanted the show to make it, and I could look at him and go, "Oh shit, he got no rhythm."
There's a larger investment.
You know, I wanted him to make it because I knew.
You knew what it meant for him to make it.
You know, but anyway, this episode, God dog, man, Steve Tisch was so bold. See, some white folks are bold. They're radical. He said, I had in the episode where I kiss her.
It's
We
80.
do a passionate.
So this is-
kiss.
this is-
I
that's
fuck
big.
her. Listen now, we fuck. You don't see this, but I do the kiss thing. We go away.
Passion of love making.
Yes.
Curtains blowing in the
We
wind. I
come
guess.
back. I take her to lunch. There's a white guy sitting there, and he starts right in. He sees this shit, and he starts right in on that. So then it got me knocking the motherfucker out. So I said to the exec, I said, Steve, come on. I said, bring in the lead. Let him be in on this. And, you know, damn, you got me kissing white women and knocking out white men. What the fuck you doing with
Not
my
gonna
career,
end well for
man?
everybody. It's not gonna end well for anybody.
God
Yeah,
damn. You know, he
Yeah.
said, John, listen, you got to kiss her. We're talking about a love story here. We're not talking about. You're the one who said it was a love story. I said, well, that's true. Well, you got to kiss her. I said, in prime time?
So you were more aware of those ramifications than anyone else, because I feel like this is one of those
sir.
things you've
Yes,
mentioned
sir.
Denzel a lot, and Denzel did the Pelican Brief with Julia Roberts.
He didn't kiss her.
and that would have been a couple of years after.
Way after.
This would be like early or mid '90s, I think.
That's right. Way after.
Right, but it's that idea of it's still that large cultural taboo. You don't really see integrated interracial couples in commercials. You don't see just
No,
and you don't
no.
see it unless it's some sort of highlighted thing, a segmented away.
She's a prostitute and he's a
Right,
whatever.
but to have a major lead actor and a major lead actress be this interracial the couple, I mean it's and not be the fixture of why the movie exists, like in a Jungle Fever or Wesley
Yes.
Snipes and those
Yes.
things, where it's just
Yes.
it's just kind of like a okay, this is yeah okay. But so
Let's
like
go back earlier. You
Yeah.
remember Denzel did the movie with Robert Townsend down on the islands down there, and he was the constable. You remember that movie? I forget the name of it. There was a scene in the movie where he's sitting on the couch with a rich white woman. He's the constable. And they begin to talk and whatnot, and they get that look going. You know how we do on camera. So they get that look going, and he, oh, shit. Oh, shit. Oh, damn. I mean, you know, they just leave the camera and leave you. It turns out they shot the scene with him kissing the woman. Eh? Then they did a test.
no dice.
There no dice. They took that shit out very quickly when the audience, predominantly black women, responded, no. They took it out.
Well, you're not gonna
So
see
that's
that.
that shit.
You're not gonna see it, and that's the thing. I feel like it's very divisive from
Yes.
both ways,
Yes.
and it takes
I
a
agree.
strong individual to be willing
I'm
to deal with
given
those
to
ramifications.
understand that when it's a white chick and a black dude,
Yes.
black women get upset. But if it's a white dude and a black chick, white dudes get upset.
That's exactly the way. And black dudes get upset.
Yeah.
That's
Why do
exactly,
black dudes get
that-
upset?
That's exactly the way.
Because they're like, that's our women, you're taking our women. And the black
it's
women
some
are
of
saying,
that.
hey, you're taking our men, that kind of
It
thing.
has historical ramifications because it comes out of slavery when you took us. Period.
Well, I thought was interesting was just before Obama won the presidency, I remember reading this article where I think it was Slate. Somebody decided they would be amusing to sort of go to the Deep South and interview Klansmen and white power people and stuff like this and say, like, what do you think of the election? They were all pro-Obama, and their thing was like, listen, first off, we don't trust
Bush.
well, Bush, yeah, McCain. They didn't like his
didn't like
his
McCain.
flip flopping. So they didn't like him at all, and they were like, what we respect about Obama is that he married a black girl. And I just thought that was so interesting to me that the Klan
That is interesting.
The Klan would prefer a black president that married a black woman
No.
over a Republican.
But look, guys, come on now. Let's be honest. We're being honest here tonight.
Please.
He's not black. His mama's white. He's mixed. See. All of a sudden, you're going to deny him his whiteness when you call him black. All of a sudden, his whiteness is shut out. His whole history is when his goddamn grandfather fought in the Second World War.
Right.
He gets no credit for any of his whiteness.
He knows that. But I mean, and I think that's the most. I think that's.
That makes me so angry.
I think that's the thing that's really, and we kind of touched on this with last week's episode, and Tony talked about
the
this.
one drop, right?
The one drop
Yes,
rule, and
yes.
and we talked about him,
Yes.
and he was talking about the whole idea of a stealth brother, in the sense that you look a certain way, you
Tony
can get in.
Perrier looks like just like an Italian guy, like
Yeah.
with a relatively heavy tan.
right.
But he talked about that sort of different thing than you and I will ever. Well, I mean, we've experienced it, but it's a very different way in that sense of like finding out, oh, I am black in the eyes of everyone else. Like we know it, you sense it, but then you have that confirmation. But to then think that you like to straddle the line and not really know where you fall at all, and then to see it happen, and then to figure out like, oh shit, I'm very different in this sense. I think what's most interesting and perverse about something like the one drop rule is that
I am real brown.
is that you.
It's just hilarious that you actually used almost the exact same sentence. So
I
I
hate
just
you,
had
you
to
son
I
of
had
a
to
bitch.
play it. I'm sorry.
But I think
Shit,
it's
I am real brown.
I think it's fascinating in that sense that like what is really warped about it is that you make someone like a Barack Obama have to. He doesn't necessarily deny that part of himself, but the greater mass at large denies that part of himself.
Yes.
And I think that's the thing that's so insulting and infuriating about
Yes.
the birth certificate thing is that idea that he has a mother who happens to be white, who is an American, and every day that man wakes up to witness a country shit on her humanity and that entire side of her family
Yes.
and say that
Yes.
doesn't count at all. All we're
Right.
focusing on is the
That's
fact that
what
you happen
I'm
to be black.
talking
And I think that is the thing that is so just appalling.
Yes.
And kind of to go back to what you're saying about that idea of you lack humanity.
Yes.
It's that sense of what is so bad about this other half of me that you will then disregard, and not only disregard, but fundamentally insult this part of me that is the same as you.
Yes, right.
What is so bad about this other half that you are forced to neglect this side of me?
But you see what's happened, and Tony already hit it on the head. When you made up that stupid ass idea, it's coming around to kick you in the ass now. You made that shit up a couple of 100 years ago.
Like
it's
it would never
coming around.
Right, like you would never have to deal with the ramifications of it. You wouldn't be allowed to deal
Now
with it.
you're going to have to deal with it, and because
And you
you're-
haven't prepared those
because-
people to deal with it.
but guess what? Your generation, I'm proud to say a bunch of goddamn, especially those rappers, you motherfuckers that kiss my fucking ass. We're going to do it this way. And I goddamn it. That's what an American does. That's a true-blooded American, man. That's what American
rugged individual.
That's right. I'm going to say what the
Bootstraps.
fuck I want to say. Now,
Pull myself
that's
about the
not
hood.
without ramification.
Right. It's not to
it's
glorify,
like-
it, but it is very pure.
How long since you've had a public forum to speak this freely?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I speak this freely wherever I go, but I don't get these. Normally,
the
I
opportunity.
meant broadcast public forum, not so much like...
opportunity to
you never
engage.
get it. You never get questions like these.
Right, right.
Right. I mean, I think
Nobody
that's-
would ever go.
And I
here.
think that's his. I think that's the question. Where it's a
Yes.
sense of
Never
what is
answer
that?
your question.
Right.
This is a unique forum in its own right because there's free speech going on here. We've always had it in this country. We've always had radical radio stations
Right.
where suckers could get on and say all kind of strange stuff. But what you guys are doing here is having a free flow of consciousness and ideas exchanging going on here, inviting the audience to come on in and join us for this intellectual discourse.
I gotta say, I'm very much not a patriotic person, but I saw this article. I think it was actually posted. Oh, it wasn't posted on the 4th of July. It was posted on the 6th of July. But I thought it was really fascinating. It was in the Dallas Morning News, and a writer had posited that the most philosophical society in all of history, rivaling the Greeks and everything else, is present day America, and that we value philosophy and arguing and discussing topics and having literally free speech to just discuss, the mind and politics and everything else. We're more inclined to do it. We do it more again, even
Freely.
per capita. It's and that was interesting to me. I was like, I actually never
But
really
I do think
considered the
I
idea
do think
that probably is.
I do think,
part of the
though,
American
you're
thing.
standing on the shoulders of people before you. In other words, those radicals that I met in the 70s up at Berkeley and whatnot, who wanted to burn the whole goddamn country down. I mean, these hippies, we were the hippie movement.
Sure,
I mean, you guys
sure.
are standing on the shoulders of a movement that is continuing to thrust.
Yeah,
And I think
yeah.
I think we parents, depending on the parenting, didn't do a real good job of schooling our kids about what they're up against. In other words, we tried to make it easier for you. We broke down a few things and said, well, we're not going to subject our kids to that. And so we sort of protected, we called ourselves doing that by leaving you with a dunce cap on. We didn't sit down and discuss, well, that is our country. And so some people did. I don't mean to generalize like that.
Sure.
But as a whole,
As a whole,
collective, that did not happen.
I don't think we did
No,
that.
I don't. I would say.
I think it's.
I think
it's
we
like,
thought the problems were done there, so we can move on.
Yeah,
There
it's-
was that
it's,
idea.
It's like if you have people over for dinner, you're not gonna hey, I just finished fixing the toilet. Man, did I have to go through a lot of work. It's like that work is done. We don't have to worry about the toilet anymore.
But except
if
we're
you
not
if
talking
you
about toilets.
I'm just saying.
Well, I
but
think-
if you neglect to tell somebody,
Yes.
don't hit the handle too hard because then the main will break.
Yes.
Then you're fucked.
Yes.
And I think that's what happens in a sense of like.
I feel
of like
bad.
you did a lot of work, and then it was like, okay, so I think from here we can move
Yes.
on. We can
We-
press forward.
yes.
can enjoy
And I
the
think-
fruits
Yes.
of our late. And
Right.
I think that's
and
one of those.
unfortunately, nobody stopped and said, by the way, we had to fight a fuckload to
Yes,
get there.
that's
Because
right.
the lessons that
Yes.
we were being taught as kids, at least I come from Phoenix, so we're not
Oh,
very
my God.
not very culturally
Not
integrated.
at
Yeah,
all.
yeah, yeah.
Jesus Christ.
But in
You're a real white guy.
Yeah, yeah.
We like to say around these parts that Mitch is Johnny Carson in his prime white.
Go ahead, Reverend.
Anyway, so The thing is that the way that that history was taught in our schools and the way that I grew up learning it, everything civil rights, etc., all the things that happened sounded like they happened 100, 200
That's
years
right.
ago.
like in antiquity or something.
I think
Yes,
I
yes.
was practically an adult before I realized that my mother, as an adult, could have gone to a Martin Luther King rally.
That's right.
Because I was like, that happened because it just didn't come up. They made it sound like it was so long ago, way back in olden days. This guy Martin Luther King, he was a great dude, and but all the black people are free now, and everybody's got jobs, and we're good. So, but just so you know, that happened.
But
that was the
meanwhile-
way it was presented to me.
Yes.
So yeah, very
it's
much
presented
resting
to
on the
most
laurels.
people. Yes,
And
I
there
agree.
probably is. I'm only speaking
and
for
I think
myself.
that's one of those things where you start to figure out the very concentrated effort in places like a Texas, where I am from, born and raised.
What part?
Houston, born and raised in
That's
Houston,
my last
Texas.
name, boy.
Yeah,
My real name.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
my government name.
That's right. My Social Security name. That's how I get my Social Security check. I tell them who I is, and this how I get my Social Security check.
Good time.
I shouldn't have brought that up because I tell you why. When I came to town, my agent was the same agent of John Houston, and they made me change my name real quick.
Oh, you go damn sure tell you.
You got to get that shit out of
You
here.
better add some gravitas to your shit.
But yeah, finish your point.
No, I think it's the idea of growing up in a place like Texas, and you feel very you feel like you're ahead but far behind in a sense. You know what I mean? Because I think the thing that I always realized about like the activism and standing on the shoulders of giants and such is that witnessing the George W. Bush presidency, I think the thing that I feel like most people didn't grasp was that Texas was the lab for all that terrible shit that got unleashed on everyone. So as shitty as you think America is, Texas is like 15 years worse. So if you're coming up of age in Texas, this thing that is on one hand the laboratory for all the terrible shit that's about to be spread over the country at large, and on the other hand, this amazing melting pot of all these different cultures and ethnicities and stories and histories bubbling up with each other and figuring out each other. And I went to one of the most multicultural schools in the land. It was pretty much like a third black, a third white, a third Hispanic, and you know you had a very diverse population. It was huge.
What was the school again?
Lamar High School.
Fucking thing sucks.
All right, go ahead. All right. Hey, I haven't used that drop in a while.
That's
I do
good.
it.
No, it's
Sorry,
well played.
sorry,
That's good.
sorry.
Good, good stuff.
But it's that idea of like you see what happens in the face of the greatest adversity possible. You see how people respond and how they adapt and how they persevere, and you see that on the level and you see what they do in the face of this thing. And when you see it going on, I feel like this is a motivation for me, I guess, very personally. But when you've seen that very intimately, you know what could happen in the worst possible case scenario, you see it start to unfold on a larger scale much more slowly. There's nothing that you can do except for to turn whatever art that you happen to create into somehow representing and channeling and addressing that in some way. And I feel like that is why a show like this with Mitch and I, just to be very meta once again, can be
Is that for
riffing.
Meta World Peace?
Yeah, exactly. Shout out to a
Difficult
man.
Brown, words to live by.
You're killing it with the job set.
I'm sorry. It's,
But
again,
but
using ones I haven't used. in a
no,
while,
it's
you
great.
know,
I'm
it's
glad you
cool.
pulled it out of the arsenal. But it's
you know.
it's that thing of like, you know, we can have a show where like people who are familiar with this show and our audience can be like, oh, you're bringing it to John Wesley. Okay, well this will be interesting.
Who is that motherfucker?
Right, but then
What has he done? We don't know him.
But it's like, but they have seen a very eclectic group of people come through, and the stories and the narrative all kind of share a very linear path, you know, and to have someone like you come in, and I think for me, you know, especially and knowing the kind of people that I think listen to the show, like to hear you talk about someone like James Avery and your connection with him and how you guys came up, and just fucking hear you say something like, "We gonna smoke these motherfuckers." Like I have felt that shit so many times where I have like had a gig or something where I have like, and like Mitch has gotten this from me.
Most of my text message inbox from Teddy is more or less that line rephrased.
Why to tell that to somebody?
I mean, that's like most of his. These motherfuckers don't even know. They don't even know. And I'm like, they don't even know. And he'll be like, they don't even know.
Why to tell that to somebody?
Well, it's fascinating for me to hear that, you know, and to hear you talk about the legacy and the continuation on, and to be able to share a conversation like this.
See, if our parents, if your dad had set you down.
My dad was very ahead of the curve in those regards.
My dad too.
So I think
he was too.
Yeah.
My dad's a racist, so I got
we
nothing.
know where your dad is from down in Phoenix, Jack.
No, my dad born and raised in New Orleans.
Oh, yeah.
And
Well, I was
then-
born and raised in Lake Charles. Well, I was born in Lake Charles.
No, you wasn't. My dad was born in Lake Charles. Get out
from
this
Lake
damn
Charles,
studio.
Louisiana.
Get out this damn
on,
studio
man.
right now.
And we don't even call it Louisiana.
You
It's
get out-
Louisiana.
Louisiana.
Lake Charles.
Nolans. Nolans.
McNeese
Yeah.
State.
That's right. I ain't never been there, though.
You guess what? Dad played some
Yeah,
football
he
there.
was
You
like.
ain't from no Lake Charles.
Remember,
You ain't from no Lake
remember
Charles.
I was raised in California, dude.
You ain't no.
We got to
No, he
California.
was
when I
from New
young.
Orleans, and
I was born in
so-
Booker. Ask your daddy if he know about Booker T. Washington Coates. So that's where I was born.
Oh,
Did he used to hang out with Sweets Walker?
That's where Sweet Walker originated.
Sweet Walker, baby, born and raised in Lake
Get a soda out
Charles.
of there.
Lake Charles. Oh my God, you ain't from no Lake Charles. That's crazy.
All I know is that
You
if I ever write a sitcom, there
know-
will be John Wesley as Sweets Walker, who's just like the guy, you know, like in Kevin Smith's movies, he speaks but once, but he sums up the whole film in
Yeah.
like few sentences. That'll be Sweets Walker. You know what I mean?
I like
You
it.
go to him and go, oh man, I got
like
this
it.
fucking thing and this job, and
like
Sweets
it.
Walker just goes, listen, man, it ain't no thing.
Here it
And
is.
he's like, you're right, it ain't no thing, Sweets.
right.
Thanks, Sweets.
That's
and
me.
you just kind of,
That sounds about right.
yeah, that's where you go. That's
You know what I like about this radio program, though? It reminds me of the activist days. We could call a rally now and get the forces going, and goddamn it, we go down to city council and raise hell. In other words, the point that I'm making is that I
want it on the
I'm
record, by the
always-
way. I did march to City Hall, and Teddy was supposed to march with me, but couldn't make it in time.
Bus problems.
Teddy.
Yeah.
bus.
Ironically,
The bus.
ironically,
You know
the
what a bus is.
city bus didn't get him there in time, but I was able to march for Trayvon Martin to City
Go
Hall.
ahead, brother.
And,
Go ahead. Do your thing.
And I don't normally. I fucking hate protests most of the time.
It was a
but
day.
I-
It was a
I
day
went.
we were
It
gonna
was-
be recording a show, and I was like,
Yeah.
we can't do that today, Mitch. We gotta do that, and the bus couldn't get me there in time. But my man Mitch
It was one
held
of
it
those things
down.
where
Held
he's
it down
like,
for the
he
straight riffing
represented.
band.
Teddy
Well, he
goes.
represented.
Teddy goes. Listen, I can't do it today. And I was like, I understand. And he goes, you understand why? I said, I get it. I get it. And I was like, don't ask me, please don't. And he's like, I'm just saying it wouldn't be a bad idea if you went. And I was like, fuck. Well, I can't say no to that. Like I know what that is. That's
Yeah.
that's the end of the show. That's the end of like our friendship. This
So much for that.
motherfucker, and all his white privilege couldn't
See?
get up off his ass.
See, you'd have been talked about like a dog.
Yeah. So I was like, all right, I'll go fucking.
But then the bus sold me out. You understand what I'm saying?
Well, listen,
I'm
if
the
I'd have
one.
known that was going to happen, I'd have picked your ass up. But I thought you were like already there.
I'm glad to say if I didn't know that would happen. I would say the fuck home. I thought it was gonna
See
happen.
that shit?
So there I am standing on the city hall while the lady's talking, and literally I didn't know that was the end of the march. I thought we were like continuing on. So I'm standing on these steps, and I'm like standing next to the lady who's giving the speech, and I'm just like, man, this is weird. All these cameras pointed and everything, and I'm like, one day I need to find like this broadcast of me just sitting there like going, don't
Dude,
know
I
what
can't
we're.
imagine how you look on the stairs, bro. I'm
Yeah,
sure.
I was singing
there a lot of
along to
white
the
folk
songs
there?
and shit. No, I mean there was.
That's what I was trying to find.
Yeah.
You know,
You're poking and
it's
prodding.
that weird thing where it was like, okay, there was the white guys who brought. I thought this was tasteless, and this is part of why I don't like protests these days. Is there was the white guys who brought their own bone to pick that had nothing to do with Raven.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? Let's talk about Monsanto, and like, not today. Let's take
Was
one
this in
day
the
off.
free speech place where they talk at City Hall down there?
Yeah, well, it was a march from I don't remember the exact spot. It was a march like two
I
blocks
see.
to City Hall.
Gotcha.
The Million Hoodie March, they called it. And so you're supposed to, and I brought my hoodie. And
Lucky you didn't get shot.
yeah.
Better be glad that other guy wasn't there. He'd
I'm
have shot
telling
your ass. Jesus Christ.
The long and storied history of racists following them with shotguns.
God, Jesus.
But so it was, there was a lot. There was that, and then there was the white guys who, it's like they're desperate for a cause and like, oh goody, here's one. You know what I mean? I can't judge too unfairly because I don't really know their
We don't have all the
motivations, but it
facts,
just
I gotta know.
when they're taking it so personal, but sort of doing it was weird. So I don't know. It was interesting to see, and I remember looking around, and I was like, I'm marching next to probably 5-6 Black Panthers, or 5 or 6 people who really want everyone to think they're Black Panthers. And I just thought, well, I'm in the right place. This is where I'm going to stay next to these guys. Ain't nothing going on in this.
And
If I stay in the middle of
This is
them,
my real safe
ain't
zone
nobody
right here.
coming up to fuck with me as long as I'm in the middle of
That's
this
right.
crew. So
That's
that's why I
true.
just marched with them, and I'm like, we're cool.
That's
We're
true.
all right.
See?
So we're
Now, the
good.
difference between this movement and...
I didn't mean to cut off your whole story from earlier, but
I pay homage to those little kids who would leave school in those segregated areas down there in the South just to get on a bus to get arrested when they were trying to integrate the police. I mean, these were kids, man.
yeah.
Little kids who are responsible
On the front line.
for on the front line and are responsible for my Voting Rights Act, my Civil Rights Act, the only 2 temporary things that give me citizenship in America. Otherwise, I don't have any because in the Constitution I'm chattel.
Right.
That's how I'm
You've
referred
got the
to.
14th Amendment, which people
And you know
wanna
what?
repeal.
They've never written an amendment that said, no, black people are human beings now.
Well, I mean, I think it's is it Mississippi, which is the 14th Amendment, and I'm not sure where it is exactly, but they either have never officially ratified it or it took them forever and a day to like very recently to ratify it because it all got sent to the states, and you don't need every state to ratify an amendment for it to be the law of the land, but I'm pretty sure Mississippi,
They drag their butts.
aka the Mordor of the Confederacy, they don't.
one does not simply walk around in Mississippi,
Okay, fair.
which I did. You remember that story?
Walk
You-
No,
carefully.
well, I
No,
walked
I
through
know,
a
I
black
know.
neighborhood, and that was the first time anybody ever called me a cracker. And I literally thought, well, I'll tell a very quick story. I was visiting my half brother who lives in Mississippi, Purvis, Mississippi.
Purpose.
Yeah. And
Sounds
That's
just
scary, ain't it?
they've got a statue of Nathan
Sun
Bedford
down, get
Forrest
out.
outside the town. So
That's
that's
scary.
pretty much all you need to know. So I went to the local mall to pick up a Metallica's Black album come out that day. That was the most depressing album I've ever bought in my life. I was like, what did you do to my beloved Metallica? So I'm walking home, and I took a wrong turn because I just remember thinking, walk towards the trees. I'm from Phoenix. There's not a lot of trees. And I took clearly a very wrong turn, and I ended up in an all-black neighborhood, which I didn't think anything of. It's not like, oh, my God, I'm scared or anything. It was just like, all right. I'm walking, and I remember this kid out on the lawn of his house, and he goes, Daddy, there's a crack out here. And I'm really not an intelligent person sometimes. And I remember thinking, like, did this kid... Not only is his dad so strict that you're not allowed to have crackers on the lawn, which ants will take care of, but also you narked yourself out? Like, why would you do that? I remember standing there for a minute, I just stared up at him, and I was like... And I went, shh, don't get yourself in trouble. Oh, my God. And he's like, Daddy, Cracker's talking to me or something like that. And I was like...
this cracker's animated.
I'm like, apparently I'm a cracker, and I'm just going like, what the fuck is that? And his dad comes out and says, Cracker, get off my lawn. And I was like, I'm not even on. I'm walking on the sidewalk. I'm like, why are they so angry at me? Didn't get it at all. Did not. Nobody taught me. Don't walk around in black Mississippi.
You didn't know
as a
Emmett
white.
Till had been killed down
I didn't know anything about any of that shit. So I was just like,
It's fucking mind blowing.
My half brother, when he picked me up turned out to be the police station. That was about some kindly old black people drove me to the police station.
Good.
And my half brother came to pick me up and fucking screamed at me for like 3 hours about whatever I had done. And I was like, what did I do?
You had
I
totally-
literally took a wrong turn.
Yes.
And he's like, and you got a ride to the police station? I was like, yeah. And he's like, by who? I was like, I don't know. This couple, this married. They were like in the grocery store, and they said, we'll
Were they
take you.
black?
He did ask that. He didn't say it that nicely, but
No, he didn't. They don't use that word down there.
no. So I was like, yeah, like, but like, why is that I was like, they were nice people. They brought me to the police station. They did a public good. Like, brought a white dude back to the cops. Like, here, you take care of him. Like, he's out stray or something. So anyway, that's my experience with Mississippi. I haven't been back since. So
Well, I was doing Heat of the Night with Carol O'Connor down there, and we shot it.
Great show.
We
good
shot- we sh-
White Snake song as well.
Well, he's a good guy. We shot it in Conyers, Georgia, and so
Good Deep South.
one day I got to send my daughters some money, so I need a Western Union. So I get my driver, and I said, "Listen, get me over to the Western Union. We're on lunch break or something." And she says, "Oh, sure, Miss Wesley." We start cruising. We cruise up, and we see as we get close to wherever this place is, there's a whole bunch of cars and stuff. And I simply say, "Wow, y'all got a little rally or something going on over there, huh?" She says, "Yeah, I don't know what it is, but I know another way to get us in." So she drives past us, goes up, around, comes back. And now remember, guys, I was born in Lake Charles, but I was raised in San Diego.
So when did you leave Lake Charles? What age?
Well, I was a year old.
Okay, so you really don't.
I really don't
You
know.
have very little association
My
with the South.
parents said, "You ain't going through that."
That
shit."
makes a lot of sense.
So at any rate, the woman goes around. She goes around in back of a dress shop, and she says, "Okay, Miss Wesley, you walk through the back door." Now I got to no. Wait.
Now, what year is this?
This is 92 or 3.
Okay.
You go through the back door here, and you go in that back door. Excuse me, you know, I got to
Right,
get
right.
past that. Immediately dismiss it. And she says, and then when you get to the front door, it's just to the right of the place. I said, okay. I go through the back door, walk up. I pull the front door open, and right across the street is the full-fledged Klan with sheets. And now wait, now I'm an actor. I know they're making a movie here. Come on. This has got to be a movie. So I step out through the door, and I look to my left. There's no cameras.
No trailers.
I look to the right. There's no cameras. I see, but what I do see is a group of black men coming on my right with scowls on their faces. And on my left, I see the same thing. I said, oh, shit. I turned around and went back, got in the car, and went back to the set. Now, the whole time I'm going back to the set, I'm getting angrier and angrier about this. So when I get Carol O'Connor, I said, Carol, what the fuck have you gotten me into down here? I said, goddamn, I ran into the goddamn Klan. And he said, John, you ran into the Klan? Where'd you run into him at? I said, I don't know, some plaza thing down there. He said, uh-huh. He said, he yelled over, get me 2 cameramen here. Get down there, get me some footage. I'm going to write an episode about this. Because guess what? He was an activist, too.
Yeah.
He was a man with awareness.
Right.
He had done that art.
And the Heat of the Night was just a extraordinary piece of art.
Well, that's
in terms of what it tried to tackle.
I played a guy. His name was fuck was my name. He was I recurred on it for 3 seasons because I was married to Denise Nicholas's character, and I had been the most important black man in town before the racists ran me out.
Right.
And now when they come back in, we've killed a guy and I go to jail. So I wind up on death row and so forth. But the whole thing about it was he wrote a beautiful, and Carol wrote for me. He wrote all the
It had the
episodes.
arc. It had the evolution of person.
The way he wrote for a black man. The only other guy I seen do this was Aaron Sorkin write for Robert Guillaume in Sports Night.
Sports Night's a great
Where
show.
when he would put those words in Robert's mouth, and they were just, we said, yes.
That gravitas.
Yes.
The way that he just commanded
Yes.
a control room.
I thanked him a few times
He
for
is
that.
tremendous in that
I thanked
program.
him for that because he was writing that for this black guy. Well, at any rate, Carol was my close friend and ally, and he was very pissed about that. And he had intended on writing an episode, but of course he didn't.
So did you get footage of that Klan rally that night?
You shit no. I turned around, got in that car, and got the hell on out of there. But let me show you about wisdom on the part of your parents. I called my mom that night. I said, Mom, you know what, babe? I said, I ran right into the Ku Klux Klan tonight. You know what she said? She said, know where you are and know how to act. That was it. She didn't need to say anything. You're in the Deep South and you're a black man. that second part, know how to act. Be careful down there. See?
It's one of those fascinating things. I feel like growing up as a black man in the South. I remember when I took a spring break trip and I went to school in Indiana. You know, a small town Indiana where the Klan is founded. You know, so it's a very radical thing for me. And I was going from a big city. There's more people in my high school than my college. You know. And we took this spring break trip down to Panama City Beach, and so we're driving down south, and we hit that Alabama, Mississippi area. So it was my stretch to drive, and I was like, "Look, I'll drive to the south. It'll be okay," because I fucking understand how the fucking police work down here. I understand that difference. And as we're driving and we're coming down the highway, and we're going, it's South Highway, so the massive just bayou or ravine in the middle of it. And as we're going down the highway, there's a police car that all of a sudden is just going the opposite way against traffic. It's early morning, and they're just coming straight at us in the other lane, And we pass them by, and so my friends are all kind of like looking, and the car passes us by, and as it passes us by, it just stops and then backs up into the trees in the bayou and just disappears. And they're like, holy fuck, I didn't even know you could do that. And I was like, welcome to the South. Because that is how shit runs down here. They will fucking hide in bayous. Yes. They will fucking drive the opposite way against traffic to disappear into the trees so that you don't even know that they exist. It has nothing to do with laws and regulations and everything to do about punitive damages. It is not about that at all.
Right. Gotta get them tickets.
Right? I mean, but it was like a kind of very eye-opening thing where you're like, holy fuck, I didn't know that it could be that like straight up corrupt. Like I didn't know that they could
But the flip side of it though, you're not going to meet more beautiful people than you meet in the South, man. You're just not going to. You're just not going to do it.
It's a wondrous contradiction.
It's a wondrous contradiction.
And that's the thing. You grew up in the South, and the thing that I always noticed that was very odd whenever I would talk to people, and they would always be like, where are you from? And I would say, oh, I'm from Texas. And they go, you don't sound like you're from Texas at all. And I always was involved with broadcast journalism and things like this. So they were like, your voice has no region, especially from the South. That's like an amazing thing for you. You have no idea what a benefit that is. And you keep hearing that, and you don't really necessarily, like, I always appreciated what it was, but I feel like as I've gotten older, I've gotten a larger,
there's more
in-depth historical appreciation for what that really means for all these people to tell me that you don't sound like you come from this place that has these...
You don't sound ignorant.
Right, which is what it is, point blank,
Yes.
Yes.
I had a theory for a long time that Stephen Hawking was just a shill for a redneck guy who was a scientist, Who was like who had all the same thoughts, but he said them like this, and nobody listened. So he's like, "Look, I'll just get me a cripple." That theory was shattered when I saw younger photos of Stephen Hawking and when he was able-bodied, and I was like, "Damn it, there goes my whole theory." But that would work, you see. That's how you would want it. If you had that accent, you're fucked. I mean, nobody's going to listen to you.
They're going to write you right off.
Yeah, you can talk about black holes and quantum theories all day long. But if you're talking like this, nobody's going to listen.
Nobody's going to listen. That's kind of true. They right away assume you're an idiot.
Yeah, exactly. So in regards to your mom saying, like, you know where you are and you know how to act, is that sort of saying, like... know when there's a time and a place to make a stink.
Yes. I think she was more... Mothers are always concerned about our safety, man.
Yeah, exactly.
She did not want anything that... There was another story along those lines. Denise Nicholas played my wife in the series, ex-wife, because, she was going with Carol O'Connor in the thing. That's what he was writing, and that's why he wrote me in the show, so that he could make a relationship with Denise that would stretch out 3 years, 3 seasons.
Right, okay.
So that they would become friends and then eventually get married. But they needed the guy a reason. And so I was the setup guy that he befriended her and then helped me and that kind of thing. But anyway, we were eating dinner one night and she said, John, I'm kind of stuffed. Why don't we walk this off? And I thought to myself, something romantic here. Maybe let's do this walk. Well, I get to her room and she's got her gym clothes on. And
That's
so,
booty time.
well, no, it wasn't.
Sorry, just
I
for
had
me.
on a black leather jacket and something else. I'm thinking we're gonna.
Platforms.
But she wants to do a real power walk, man. And she's got the route mapped out. She's already got a 3-mile route mapped out. Well, I follow her. I go with her and I walk with her. Well, all right. She gets ahead of me, man. We're on the way back. The sun is now going down. It's dusk. And she gets ahead of me a little bit. And I'll be damned if one of them big high, only white folks driving them big old high trucks like that on the wheels and whatnot. One of them trucks pull up and the guy turns his bright beamers on me and Denise. And they stop. 2 or 3 rednecks in the thing. I said, oh shit. Know where you are. All of a sudden I'm aware of where I am. Oh shit. She starts walking faster. So do I. They watched us. They didn't bother us. When we got back to the hotel, I said, Denise, you see this? She said, oh God, I saw it. Come with me. I walked into her room. She pulled up a ticket she had got here in Los Angeles. And on the ticket, under race, said she was Caucasian. Now, what that look like, this black guy in the black leather jacket following this woman out here? And the white folks saw this. She looked like a white woman. Looked like a black man following a white woman. What's going on here? It scared the shit out of me because I knew what the picture looked like. See what I'm saying?
Right.
And sure enough, we were fine. But we knew we were in Conyers,
You knew
Georgia.
the greatest circumstances.
We
around
knew
here.
we were in Conyers, Georgia. We were not in Atlanta. We were in Conyers, which was strictly redneck. No blacks used to even go in that area. But that's where the show.
Do you think she could have helped the situation by turning around and grabbing your hand?
No.
No.
That would have been
That
the
would have
dead, that would have
aggravated
been a
it.
death sentence.
Really?
That-
I would think that'd be like, he's with me, it's okay.
No.
No.
Instead
No,
of like,
that is
you're following
literally
this
the
girl.
exact
Might have
opposite of how
got
it
really
works.
mad at her. For, what's she grabbing on?
They
her?
hate, if you were to make a move like that, all of a sudden they hate you more than they hate him because you're the traitor.
You're the lover.
You're the traitor, you understand?
The nigger lover, to be honest about it.
It's the same point when Chappelle had his frontline thing with Clayton Bigsby, and it ends when he finds out that he's blind black dude and he divorces his
I
wife.
miss him.
He divorced his wife because he couldn't be with a nigger lover.
Yeah, I
It's
remember
that.
that,
It's
yeah.
that
Yes.
sense of
Yes.
they will fucking hate the white woman infinitely
Yes.
more than the
As
black man.
Obama's mama.
Because that's that whole
As
point again.
Obama's
Because
mama.
there's no way you could be a legitimate human being and have these feelings for these fucking savages, for these less thans, for these fucking also
How
ran.
come we never see Obama's mama?
He shows her.
Wait now. Just stay with me. How come we never see her?
To be fair, I don't think I've ever seen a photo of a president's mom.
Well, I'll
You
buy
didn't see
that.
the bushes all the fucking time.
That's fair. But
And-
that's
and
only
you know what?
because of
And you
the
Them
know
fact.
motherfuckers come out all the time.
I've
no.
seen George W. Bush's mom because she was the first lady. You know what I mean?
Guess what?
But other than that, I
But
don't.
guess what?
I mean, I don't know.
The reason you don't see Obama's mama is so that you can deny that he even has one. In other words, if you're so busy focusing on him being black, you can deny all his whiteness. So don't show anybody white. They don't ever do that. They only show him and Michelle, and they don't ever really focus on like his uncles and the guys he loved.
his grandmother,
His-
who was from Hawaii, and they say
Right.
this motherfucker isn't even from America. And he's like, he grew up on Hawaii. He went back for his grandmother before she died. Do you know what I mean? Like to show his grandkids and shit like that. And you can't talk about that. You can't acknowledge that.
Stuff don't come up, man. I met Laura Bush in the White House. I was there.
Wow.
Me and Robert Guillaume were there. They were honoring him for something. I was with him.
Cut the tension with a knife.
What a lovely human being she ain't, man. She is beautiful, dude. Laura Bush. It's one of the most beautiful human beings next to Elvis's ex-wife. That's another stunning
Priscilla,
human
was
being.
it?
Priscilla Presley.
Yeah, yeah.
I was at a party at Vidal Sassoon's house. Dropping names on you motherfuckers. You fucking with me? You don't even know who you fucking
I don't
with.
even know what you got in.
You don't
fucking
even know who
headquarters
you
right now.
fucking
You don't
with.
even know.
No, but here's what I'm saying. She was talking to this Italian.
No, but seriously, I was at Vanilla Sisters' house.
Second best segue to know.
So she's talking to this Italian cat, right? I got a beer in my hand, a Heineken, and I'm listening. I'm eavesdropping on their conversation. They're having a political conversation. And everything coming out of her mouth, guys, I'm totally agreeing with. She sounds exactly like me. Her philosophy on life.
This is Laura Bush.
No.
No, you go
this
back.
was Priscilla Presley.
Priscilla Presley. Okay.
Laura was different. Laura has a humanity about her that it just jumps right out at you. We had to take a picture there with her, and I wasn't going to be in the pictures, but put Robert Guillaume had a stroke, and I was there assisting him. Really.
Right.
He's my brother-in-law, if you really want to know the truth. And so I got him in the shot, and Laura says, "Are you family?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." "Get over here and get in the shot and get on this side of me. I want the two handsome men on both sides." And that's how we took our picture. But that was Laura. Her husband wasn't nowhere around. The point is, one of the things we do, the advantage we have over white people, we are forced to look at you guys and learn everything about you.
Study you every day.
And you don't learn shit.
You don't even know we exist.
You don't know nothing.
You don't know nothing.
Because they don't teach you anything about us.
On purpose.
On purpose.
And we got to learn everything.
We got to learn everything.
And then some.
And then
we
some.
learn the shit y'all don't even know about your own self.
We know more about y'all than y'all know.
We're the greatest opposition research team of all time, motherfuckers.
No, but my only point is that they don't, it's a disadvantage, really, because you don't know. We know all
you don't know yourselves, and you don't know us, and we know everything. Y'all coming to the competition, and y'all ain't got a goddamn clue.
And that's why a lot of times we can read a person just like that. You know right away if he's a racist or if he's funny. I mean, bam! You don't even have to waste it. Guy, you can look at him, damn near smell him, damn near know.
Why you think Mitch and I 68 episodes deep? We sniff it out. We sniff it out. We know what the deal is.
And I'm talking about Phoenix and Texas. You two extreme motherfuckers done found middle ground.
And that's why the show works.
See? I have to say this, guys, before y'all kick me out of here.
No.
The humanity of this show is refreshing. That's what I'm talking about. There's a sense of humanity here. That we don't. You're right. We don't get a chance to be privy to very often, especially when we're talking on radio. Normally, we have to be very, very careful about what we say. I don't talk on radio a lot because I'm never careful. I'm always honest.
These are the kind of forums you were tailor-made for, good sir, dare I say.
Well, I got to tell you something. I did a thing called Coffee. It's called Coffee Chatter, and they asked me to come over and do it. And I saw the first interview with the first person, and I went, Jesus, this is some silly shit here. I'll be goddamn if I won't get caught up in this. Well, I'm going to tell you, when I heard you two cats, I went, oh, shit. Because you know that promo you guys run?
Yeah. Well, I remember you said that in the elevator coming up here. Like, I was listening to your shit. You motherfuckers fuck around.
Oh, y'all. I said, what am I getting into here? It turns out, though, this has been a fabulous interview because we've covered a lot of territory in a very short period, I might add. Relatively short.
Yeah.
Flies by.
You know. Yeah. It's a funny thing of the when you're booking people and they go, 2 hours? Oh fuck. And you're like, listen, the first hour takes a minute and a half, and then the second hour.
I wouldn't be here if I knew I was here for 2 hours. I'm just
I'm glad
this shit out.
we left.
That's why you don't say it,
glad we
because
left it
people
out.
hear 2 hours and they think, oh fuck. But it's like when you sit down, that first hour is like a minute and a half. And the second hour is about a half hour.
Well,
So,
whatever it is,
you know what I mean?
It's free flowing, it's organic, so the time moves. Right
Well,
along with
the
it.
greatest compliment we get on this show is when people we've never met before come on and they're like, this is where it's at. That's immensely flattering.
Well,
So,
this is good stuff and I'm glad I got a chance to come and talk with you guys tonight because I like talking to young people. The thing that I don't like about older people is, God damn it, you got all that information, pass it on, will ya?
What are you doing? What are you
Don't take
doing?
it with you when you leave.
What kind of buildings are you? What kind of bridges are you building?
Right,
What kind of,
just pass
what's
that
your
on.
legacy? Yeah,
It's,
I mean,
it's like that old. I think it's an old Buddhist saying or something like that. It says that if you were blind your whole life and then you were able to see, while you gained the knowledge of sight, you lost the ability to imagine what you would have seen.
That's kind
And
of
so, sort of with age, it's that kind of thing of like, there's many great thinkers throughout time where it's like, oh, he accomplished this or she did this or whatever, they accomplished this thing, and you hear people say, And they did it because they didn't know they couldn't do it. Mm-hmm. And so sort of with age, yes, while you gain knowledge, you also unfortunately gain the downside of knowledge, which is now you know limitation a little bit more than you probably would. If you're just young and dumb, you don't know that.
That's
like,
right.
I didn't know I couldn't do this, so I went ahead and did it. But an older person might sit you down and go, listen, you can't do that.
Can't do that,
You're
man.
not allowed to. That's not happening. We got rules and regulations. We got
You're going to
thing,
find
thing.
out.
Yeah, exactly,
You know, one of the great
exactly.
one of the great paybacks when for us parents with our children is when they have theirs.
Oh, of course.
That's
yeah.
when
Bill
the fun,
Cosby
That's
said,
when
yeah.
the fun starts for us.
That's
Because the kids whoop your ass in a way that Dad couldn't get you.
right.
Because they're inside, man. They know how to get at. They fuck up your sleep.
I-
You know, all of
They
that.
know everything about your psyche.
On Bill
Gotta
Cosby's
psych
himself.
you out.
Bill Cosby's himself album, and I don't have kids, but I can remember listening to this album a lot when I was a kid, and because he was the quotes he had about what his mom would say to him, I was like, Jesus Christ, are all moms the same?
You knew how
This
to
is why I
do
thought I was born a small black child, Daddy, because of Bill Cosby and his mother.
that. Yes, but Bill was never black.
Yeah, you see, that's kind of what I'm saying. Is that
Yes.
my influences as a kid were all black. You know, Richard Pryor, Bill Cosby, Shel Silverstein. So anyway, on himself, he says mothers pass a curse along to their children, and the curse is, I hope that when you grow up, you have children that act the exact same way that you act, and this curse works.
It works like a champ.
How many? Ages?
I have 2 daughters, but I have 7 grandkids. And when my other
Does
daughter,
it come back around like with the grandkids, like even it back out again, where they're
Well,
not as
you know
difficult?
what it is?
Because you get to be like,
Look at that! Look at that
come on,
grin! Look
man.
at that
You know
what
grin
it
right
is,
there.
though?
You see that?
No, really, what it is about the parenting business. You try to tell your children certain things that they get a certain age, and you try to school them, but they don't listen, and the ramifications happen. Now you got babies, okay, and them babies got your ass up. You're going. They take over your life, and now you're no longer free like you were when you were here.
right.
See, and it's that kind of thing. It's a teaching instrument.
Right.
Now you can teach the grown-up now because they got kids.
It's not abstract anymore.
It's not abstract no more, babe. It's very specific.
Right.
The grandchildren, however, they're innocent. They don't know anything. They just love you unconditionally.
Right.
So they're irresistible. So they put you right in the palm of their hands immediately. You'll spend all your money on them.
Yeah.
You will take them to Disneyland.
It's that purity that just attracts you.
I took my 10-year-old with us to see the remake of Lion King because Robert Guillaume is Rafiki. So he came.
You've done some Rafiki things too in your past. Right?
I did Rafiki.
Yeah.
I only did the voice. I do it now if they need him because Robert can't do it anymore.
Right.
But I'm limited, man, because I tell you guys, when I went to do this, I had got the gig, and I knew I could do that part of the gig. I had been running with Robert for 20 years, and I had been in the studio with him when he would lay these things down. I never thought anything about it. I knew he had a Grammy for the voice. Okay, so I go in to do the voice, and the guys say, John, we're going to warm up. We're just going to put Rafiki on and let you hear it. I put the headset on and started listening to Rafiki and was very much aware, my brother, that I was in way over my head. I'm not talking about a little bit.
Yeah, you feel tsunami style.
I went, oh my God. So I finished out what I had to do. I got that in. I got home. Robert lives with me, so I got home and I said, Bob, I just tried to do, man, Jesus Christ. Damn. When did you create that character? He said, I said, how old were you when you made that guy? He said, he was 60. That's why the character, see, it's one thing to imitate the voice.
He's got that. He's got
That
the
wisdom.
Rafiki's got wisdom on
Yeah.
wisdom over the years.
Yes.
He's got that wisdom that he's
Yes.
born with, that he realized and then built upon.
And Rob put that in the character.
Yeah.
So when you try to duplicate that,
You gotta go deep.
you got to go deep.
You
brother.
gotta go deeper than you ever been.
I ain't never been that deep.
You ain't-
Guess what? Guess what? Guess what? I'd have drowned. No, there's no way. You know how they say either
Yeah.
an actor can be replaced? That's just not true at all. Even when I look at Charlie
That
Sheen,
industry nonsense.
even when I look at Charlie Sheen, I'm not a big fan of that 2.5 Men business. But I sampled it over the years. And now I went back over there and looked, and it ain't the same without Charlie Sheen.
You know what? For better or for worse, it has its own intrinsic dynamic,
Mm-hmm.
and to then try and duplicate
what
an
happened.
art with its own dynamic is.
Hey, what happened when the girl left the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Janet, and they brought in the lights?
Oh yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Aunt Viv, yeah, man, shit fell apart when the second Aunt
Shit
Viv came.
fell apart.
First Aunt Viv anchored it together. You don't know nothing about being black, Mitch. Get on, stay over there.
Is it? Look, don't pull this into a white black thing.
Nah,
Pull
yeah,
this into
do
a
it.
Pull out of this.
pull this.
Get us out of this shit.
This is
ain't
a
know
pop
nothing.
culture thing
You ain't
through
know
and
nothing.
through.
You ain't know
When
nothing
it
about
comes
being
down,
American.
yeah,
you
well,
terrorist.
Okay, that's
you
probably-
better now. You have it now.
I'm sick
Turn
of
into
talking
an
about white
American
folks.
about that.
Yeah, right.
No,
I just the thing that so we were gonna do a 4th of July episode and we didn't do it. So I'll shoehorn it into this motherfucker.
We'll do a tease.
I'm just gonna
We'll do
I'm
a
just gonna
tease.
shoehorn this fucking thing. Is that you had a friend on your Facebook that was listening to our last episode
is
and
that
he's
when
like
you guys found me on Facebook?
No, we
Oh,
found
shit,
you in the
thank
streets.
God. I was out there begging for them nickels and dimes out there. You mean?
out there in the streets preaching that truth. There was a friend of Teddy's on Facebook who listened to our last episode, and there was a point in the last episode where I was just making a point, like a larger point about something, and I said something that felt really uncomfortable to say at the time. I'm not even sure why I said it, but I just threw in the middle of a sentence, "I'm not a racist," and
Well, you do a lot of disclaimers where you're like, I don't want this to sound sexist, so I don't want to be racist. or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
And you make it infinitely worse than it should
that's
be.
fair. That's
as
fair.
opposed to
But
just
what I'm
going
saying
right
is, I usually wouldn't
But he's got a
stop.
point, though. I'll tell you why.
I wouldn't usually stop to point out because it does sound incredibly weird when somebody does it. You're like, well, look, we didn't think that. Why would you bring that up? So it did seem kind of weird. But then I was like, you know what? When you get right down to it, when I said I wanted to talk to you about your buddy and what you call the blackety black, because Teddy will often say, yeah, you know nothing about black people, and then he'll sometimes go, man, we talking about the blackety black over here, and I'm just like.
Real black.
It's like one of those
get
things
it.
like,
You get it.
for all the just sitting
get it.
here, like, when we have, last week was a record for the show. We had
A lot of blackety black.
We had 4 people in here,
4 black
3
people?
black people,
Okay.
and me,
Okay.
right?
They ganged up on you?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's cold.
We
At
encroached.
no
Why
point,
y'all
encroached.
do that?
it's okay. I don't mind it.
encroached.
You
Whatever.
didn't protect your brother.
Look, I will
I
take.
did protect him.
You protected.
I sheltered him.
I
Okay.
will.
But we
I
still
will-
encroached.
I'll take the beating. All right, I get it. If a white guy will take the beating, give him the beating. That's fine. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
But it's that kind of thing where it's weird because it's like, listen, so much of the things that come up on just any show, and our show included, are pop culture related, and so much of it I've just ignored. And so, like, there's so many times where you'll talk about something, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know what that is. And it's like, you don't know nothing about being black. I'm like, no, I just don't know pop culture. And I sort of like, that's the thing that I was trying to sort of put into the last episode, and so I'll put it into this one, is that I really try not to look at things like race. Yeah. Because
Good luck.
coming from Phoenix, I just, it just wasn't an issue. It just didn't come up. And yes, there's no black people there, but
That's why it didn't come up.
I know. But that
What you say now,
But
brother
I
man?
also had
What you say?
I didn't grow
Yes.
up. I didn't grow up in
like a racist.
Surprisingly, despite my father,
Yes.
I didn't grow up in a house where it was like they're black people and you're
Yes.
white people.
Yes.
And because I was never
Did
sort
you
of,
grow up in a house like that?
No.
Me neither.
I don't know. I mean, thankfully we all came
Well,
from that. What I'm saying is
But
that
we grew up with some awareness, though.
We grew up
is
with a lot
that
of
like
blackness.
when it comes to like racially dividing, as it comes to this show specifically, it's always come not from me. So I'm just,
Well,
it's
I think-
uncomfortable for me where I'm like, look,
Look,
literally
look.
just trying to
Well,
have
go
a
ahead, John.
conversation
Go
and
ahead.
how
I was
many
gonna say-
times it comes
I
up
was
where it's
gonna
like,
say-
listen, you
I was
white
gonna say
people, and I'm
this.
like, oh mother, why do I have to be relegated to
Whenever we have this is an idea.
that? All right, go for it.
Our country is race is a conundrum. You know what that word means.
Absolutely, yeah.
And
so, it is.
so we can't seem to get
as
around.
Obama famously said, it's a complex issue.
Well, I just call it a simple conundrum. We just
is.
can't figure out what the fuck we're doing with it.
Yeah.
Here it is. we're all human beings. Everybody know that.
No.
And everybody know we function biologically the same. Everybody know that. Everybody know we're only culturally different. That's the only difference. Now, we have some physical characteristics. But the fact of the matter is we fuck the same. We
Sure.
piss the same.
Well, actually, no.
We
Black
sit
people
on the
fuck
toilet
way
the same.
louder. We're very
Oh,
quiet.
yeah, right.
So-
We're a little bigger.
Yeah, you
but
guys.
everything's a little
You're
bigger.
very louder.
But here's my point. That we can't seem to. Robert and I were reading from our
Just
book,
looking at Teddy when I say
and
that.
we were trying to.
Choose that white pussy.
Good Lord, Mitch.
we were trying to make a point about something that was sort of pro-black, but we had white people in the audience because our audience was mixed. So Robert stopped in the middle of the reading and said to the audience, to the white folks, "Now listen, white folks, don't take this the wrong way." And he explained to them what we were saying.
Sure.
And of course, they were relieved because they didn't know they were going in the wrong direction. And he straightened them out, and they were, "Oh, thank God, we thought he was talking about us." And we were trying to say that everything ain't about you. We were talking about you.
Right. And I think that's the thing where, like, to Mitch's point that he's saying whenever, you know, and I always mention something about, you know, like, oh, the blackity black,
Yeah,
if you will,
the blackity black.
and things about how, like, well, you
You're
don't
trying
know,
to school
well,
me.
like, you don't know nothing about the blackness, and he's like, I don't know about pop culture. And I feel like, and like I was telling you before, we've had the long-running joke on the show about everybody knows something about being black, you know, whatever the couch or whatever quadrant we set it in or whatever.
Do I need to get like a white part of the tablecloth that drapes over
Don't
just
you
my
dare
area?
get don't you dare get no white tablecloth in this bitch. Don't you dare. But it's and Mitch and
No,
I
I'm
talked
saying
about
like
this,
just for this
and
half,
ain't
so you
getting
can be like
no
anybody
half.
on the black side of the
Yeah,
table
yeah,
is knows something
I
about being
dare
black.
you to
I
put the
don't know.
Mason Dixon in this bitch.
All right.
But it's that, and Mitch and I have talked about this before, where it's like the thing that so amuses me about that is like the reverse arbitrary nature of it. Do you know what I mean? And it's that sense of where, like, on Mitch's side, he's like, well, I don't know anything about pop culture. And on my side, I mean, like, bitch, we are pop culture. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's like, it's that thing of like, you can't just deny what our element of pop culture is, because in order to acknowledge it, they're like, okay, you are part of popular culture. Then you have to acknowledge this great iceberg under the surface, and that's why I love the iceberg theory, where you only see a fraction of the iceberg above the surface, but the vast majority of the iceberg exists under the surface, and that's what it is to have black representation in pop culture, where you see someone and you go, oh, this is making me think very differently, but then you go under the surface and you hear things about a James Avery and a John Wesley and the activism behind art, and you hear about a Denzel doing representations in South Africa, and you hear about how apartheid factors into shows like that. And it's that sense of where it's that difference between being like, well, I don't know nothing about pop culture, and like the other side is being like, we are trying to get into pop culture to show you that we can be a part of pop culture, and we have been a part of pop culture. You just haven't allowed our faces to be in pop culture.
Oh, I also don't know anything about being black. I mean, I'm not.
Well, guess what?
I'm not denying
what,
that I
Ray?
also.
You do though, Mitch, and that's what the whole
I'm
point
learning
is.
a lot about it just doing this
Yes.
show. Admittedly, a lot of things I was like, "That's a black thing,"
But
I
guess
like that
what,
kind of
Rev?
stuff.
That's
but,
what's so
you know.
beautiful about this show, man. This is what I've discovered tonight. Because guess what? We can't fix a goddamn thing till we talk about stuff.
Absolutely, yeah.
And in this country, there's a real problem. You remember when Clinton said, let's talk about race? When he was president, he said, let's go around the country and let's everybody get together and talk about that shit fell flat on
They
its
killed
face,
that
man.
shit to death.
That
What
shit
was
didn't even
the-
get off the ground.
There was a
man.
TV show, and I don't know what the fuck.
Didn't even get off the ground.
There was a TV show where they did a scene on like a talk show, like a Springer, maybe Oprah, where it's like people on a panel and people in the audience. I don't remember what the show was, but there was a thing where it was like, what should we call black people was the subject of the talk show that was inside of another sitcom. And it was all these black women that would stand up and have their own opinion, get very loud, and then part of the audience would be like, yeah, and then another person would stand up and refute that point, yeah. And there was one woman was like, I don't want to be called African American, I want to be black and proud, yeah. And then a woman was like, you don't get to call me black. And it was like, black is like oil. And it was this weird, it was probably during that time, and it was this interesting thing where I watched it, I was like, really? Is that a debate we're having? Like, who calls who what? And all this different stuff?
That comes from
and it's still
when
around.
we were slaves. They started making up all kinds of names to call us of what we
You
were.
couldn't justify the existence,
yeah.
man.
You kept changing them,
Again,
too.
Well, because
it comes back to the Planet of the Apes thing.
Well, you can't-
You go over to Africa speaking a totally different language. Like, look, I don't know what you guys are saying. So
bring
you're
people
not
from-
even human,
you bring
and you
people
look
from the-
different.
yeah, right.
You look different, and you talk different. So you don't.
ain't quite
I
how
have
it went,
no
though.
way. I'm not saying it is.
Well,
I'm
no,
just
no,
saying.
listen, Rev. Because I got
Please.
a theory.
Please give me a theory.
Because you think about it now.
Right.
Them white folks was the Spanish, the guys who first came into Africa.
Conquistadors.
The guys who first came into Africa. He was talking earlier about Hottentot women.
Right,
That's really
right,
women with
right.
the most beautiful asses in the world. That's really what a Hottentot woman is. We see them all the time. Beyonce is a Hottentot
Sure.
woman. So what happened was these white folks come in out that cold ass water, that cold region out there, and they pull into this exotic island. And these sisters are wearing little leaves over their titties, nothing over their ass. Now, God damn it, if that don't make you crazy and insane, I don't know what to tell you. I couldn't take it myself. I'm a black man. If I run into that, my dick is going to run all over the place with me when I'm looking at these gorgeous, black, stunningly beautiful. I got to have that.
Right, and you haven't been on a
Now,
ship.
wait now. The brother saw the white folks. Said, oh, look at them. Oh, poor babies. Y'all come on in here. We're going to feed. Get some food here for these cats. Look, get some soap and whatnot. They need to clean up. And y'all ain't had no pussy, did you? Get them some pussy. That's the kind of people we are, my brother. That's our nature.
You're gonna get wiped
We
out by
invite-
smallpox.
And then that's what happened. We didn't know. The guys got in there. Shit, they got comfortable with this shit. I could live like this forever. Then the next thing you know, we got the religious people coming up in there. Then after them come the army. Then you got your slavery. So I can own these bitches. I can own them. Lock, stock, and barrel. Don't you dream about them no more.
That's true. Religious people show up around a bunch of naked people living and smiling, and they got to put a stop to that shit real quick.
That don't happen.
I got it.
So, and I'm saying this from a human point of view. I was coming up Wilshire Boulevard on San Vicente one night, and it hit me like an epiphany. Sister's trying to cross the street, and she's got on some of them skinny jeans. Now, her ass is too big for them jeans. You know, sisters can't get in them little skinny shit. Nonetheless, so her butt is bubbling up over the top of them jeans, sexy as hell. And that's when it dawned on me, God
Am I
damn.
supposed to be going word and I hear that, brother, and all that?
Damn. I see what happened when the white man saw that shit. He lost his motherfucking mind. He still ain't got his mind right ever since he been there. That's what race. That's that right at the center of race is right there. Right where them women and them men mixing. And you know, we all mixed up in America here. We are all mixed up.
Since the beginning.
There ain't no white people really hardly in America. They're mixed, but they go into denial on it.
Well, that's the thing. Then you bring it back to Obama's mother.
Right.
You have to deny.
Go
it.
into denial.
You can't deny
on
the
it.
fact that your whole history is based on a group of people that went down to the old plantation where the slaves were and just raped when they wanted to.
They owned it. There's probably no
Brought it-
raping.
and then
I own this.
brought in the good-looking children to live in the house and pass them off as one of their own, and left the other ones to just go ahead and be slaves and sell them off. Or
Well,
whatever.
actually, you know, our president didn't do that. He made all them babies with Sally and then, buried them in the pauper's grave. He never did a fucking thing for them, Thomas Jefferson.
Thomas
did.
Jefferson, yeah,
He fucked that shit all up.
Yeah.
But that was his property. So he
Well,
didn't
Thomas
have to do-
Jefferson had a
yeah,
lot of. Thomas Jefferson's history with Sally Hemings is its own very distinctive.
Yes, it is.
Chapter in
It
American
actually was a
history.
love story. It was a beautiful love story. But the babies.
But it is representative so much of where you go a couple centuries away,
Mm-hmm.
and how that immediacy of realizing that the people who are running the country
Reverend
and leading
said
the
it
country.
tonight.
Go ahead.
He talked about he didn't even know his mom was in the civil rights movement. I mean, she could have been right in it. That's how close the shit is.
Right.
I'm 2 generations or 3 from slavery. John Wesley is.
Right.
He understands that very clearly. And if it don't be for, I think I have to be honest. If it's not for the civil rights and the Voting Rights Act, brother, you don't have any.
We got
rights.
nothing.
You
We
have
got
nothing.
nothing. We got nothing.
You see what I'm saying?
And you've got people who
You know what I gotta say up until that discussion when you had earlier you said what makes me a legal American as a black man is the voting rights. Up until that sentence, I never quite understood why Teddy got so angry about driver's licenses for voting. Now I get it. Now
Well,
I get it.
and it's a difference.
Because see, I don't know this shit.
Right.
And it's one of those things where I've had acquaintances say things like, you know, Ron Paul, to take a very specific example, and his voting against the you know, the Civil Rights Act of '64 when he was still in Congress, when it came up for its, you know, sort of remembrance. And I've had acquaintances say that's just a little bit racist. And, you know, of course they're white men. And it's that difference between being like, do you have any fucking idea how clueless you are to tell me that that voting against the Civil Rights Act in 1964 is just a little bit racist? You have no idea how fucking ignorant you are in the grand scheme of your life and how grossly privileged your existence is that you would dare tell me that such a move is, quote, a little bit racist. You could go just die in your ignorance. It is so vast, you would drown in it before you ever reach the surface.
Well, you have to school him. See, that's the thing, though. If you guys, and me, myself included, if we develop some awareness, we've got to pass it on to the people who don't have any. And we can't be mad at them because they don't have it. We all were programmed to be stupid. I think all of us. Really?
Less stupid and more just kind of inquisitive. But when you have that natural inquisitiveness, and the world
That's a good
around
thing.
you has been built to fill you with propaganda,
Yes.
because people
And you get angry about it, too.
because the elites can't handle the truth,
Yes.
the fundamental truth,
Or don't want the truth to get out.
right? Then you become mad. Because the things that you are naturally inquisitive about drive you crazy, because they're designed that way. Because
Not only that, when you start getting that awareness you were talking about, I remember going to my father. He's a brilliant guy. He talked to me about everything, man,
Same with my dad,
except race.
no,
Now, I don't know about you, Reverend, but in my house, we were raised, there was no color with people. Because I was raised, remember, I didn't tell you guys this, but I'm a Navy brat. My father was in the Navy.
you went to Vietnam, right?
Yeah, that's true. But my father was in the Navy. He's a World War II vet. And that's how we got wound up in San Diego, the Naval Training Center. He was in
Yeah.
The base there.
So all of my young life, I lived in an integrated environment. There were white people, and because we were all brats, Navy brats. So there were white folks and black folks and Filipinos, and we all lived in the same place. I didn't know a fucking thing about racism or race until about, I don't know, I was in 7th grade and 8th grade. My mom and dad split up, and we had to move out of the naval projects into the ghetto. And that's when I first started to develop some awareness that we were somehow different.
I see.
Where the thing
My
that
best friends were white. I beat your ass about my white partner, Don Woods. This was my partner growing up. We didn't know anything about shit like that.
well, kids don't know anything.
Kids don't know
Yeah,
anything.
yeah. It's
They don't.
a
And then
taught
at a
thing.
certain point in our lives, we come to awareness.
And I think, oddly enough, and I can't figure out if it's a good thing or a bad thing, it just literally never came up in my house. Like, I can't remember ever having a discussion about race of any kind in my house.
We didn't have a discussion about race, Rev, but what my father told me was there was no difference between us. He said
That's
they're going to
good,
be.
that's good.
The other thing he told me was this. This was beautiful. He said they're going to be people running around talking about independence all the time, son. He said, you know, if you were truly independent, you'd live on an island, you'd produce your own electricity, grow your own food. We are totally interdependent upon one another.
Mm-hmm.
We are totally interdependent upon one another. And the minute somebody thinks we're not, they're lost.
They've shown themselves.
They've shown themselves. And that's the philosophy, because he was talking about, on a bigger level, we have to figure out how to get along.
Yeah,
White,
yeah,
black, green,
absolutely,
whatever.
sure.
We got to
Sure.
figure this shit out, or we will die as a race.
No
Just
man
like-
is an
just like
island
them
unto
Greeks.
himself. Yeah.
Just like them Greeks, this motherfucker will go down too. It will
Already
implode
going
from
down.
the inside. That's why these conversations are important.
Sure, sure.
They're just designed to turn some light bulbs on, start a couple of epiphanies, get some things going. Oh, shit. So he begins to challenge and question the system. Start to take a look. Turn over a few rocks. And then you begin to find out what's your purpose for being here. If you're a spiritual person, you'll come to some awareness that God is using you in a very specific way. You will come to that if you're a spiritual person.
Well, either way, you find out your sense of purpose.
Yes.
And
If you're looking.
right, and it's and even at a more micro level than that, it's just a greater sense of understanding yourself and who you are as a human being and what you have to offer and how you can offer that in the greatest spectrum possible for the greatest good.
Yes, for the greater good.
Yeah. So it's been fantastic to
Yeah,
have you.
yeah, we're
in,
a little over, but it's okay.
Riffin
You
headquarters.
motherfuckers done talked me over 2 hours.
We got you, John.
2.5 hours.
You two slick
He
motherfuckers.
put you on the
That's how we
bowl
roll,
for that
man.
shit.
Yeah,
Boy,
yeah,
y'all
yeah.
something else. This was beautiful.
What am I going to do? Cut you off and be like, listen, you're making great points, but we need to get the fuck out of here.
You're
building
I'm
a
not
lot
gonna-
of bridges
Why would I
right
do
now.
that?
Hey,
No.
John, you're running your mouth too much. Get the
Yeah,
fuck out.
I would never know. Because look, it doesn't matter how. I mean, frankly, you could go for 6 hours. Just the problem is that somebody might see that episode and go, 6 hours? No, I don't have that kind of
Are we
time.
on TV?
So it's fine. People download it. They listen to it in their car or at work or whatever the
They
fuck.
get
So
wisdom
2 hours,
in bit
you know?
size.
We find
Well,
2
this
hours
was
is
fun.
good. 1 hour is not enough.
You saw
3
we
hours
barely
is
got
a bit
warmed
too
up
much.
after an
So
That's
2
true.
hours
We
is
were
about
just
right.
warming up, wasn't we?
Right, you just hitting your
Feeling
stride
good,
right
man.
now.
Yeah.
This was good.
John, what can we plug for you? What do you want? Where do you want people to check
well,
out?
I
What
did,
you got
I
going
did a
on?
movie last year called, it's with Isaiah Washington, Keith David, Lou Gossett Jr., Vanessa Bell Calloway, Bill Cobbs. There's a few others I can't name. Melinda Williams, I think her name is. It's a piece called The Under Shepherd. And I guess they're trying to get it released now, and it's kind of based on the corruption in the black church. And
Good title. Very good title.
Isaiah is the corrupted.
There's a lot of that.
So
that,
can
that,
they? How
that
can
prosperity
is that on
gospel.
Netflix? Is that on
No,
DVD?
that's-
What's that?
No, they haven't. I saw it at the Black Film Festival last year.
Hasn't been released yet.
It hasn't. They haven't got a distributor.
Okay.
But it's a wonderful movie. But the thing I suppose I really want to plug is the book that Robert and I are going to be. We're trying to get published now. It's a book of when it reminds me a little bit of, for those of you who are philosophers, it's a little bit like Plato sitting down with Aristotle, because it's a book where I ask him what I call dumb actor questions, and we get his answers. And so what you get is, let's say, an intelligent person asking a wise man a question. So his answers are expansive. So if I asked him, for example, about you, T, and I said, this guy wants to be an actor and so forth, and he'd say, well, T could do this, and he would answer it so that it would include the Reverend.
Some high level shit.
Well, the Reverend would listen and say, shit, that shit applies to me. I can use that. That's our book.
And
So
the
it's
name of it
it's
again
almost
is?
like a
It's
dinner with
called-
Andre.
It's called
My Dinner with
Secrets.
Andre.
Secrets. Take a look at yourself. And of course, all we're doing is encouraging people to believe in yourself. You are somebody. And what we want to do is start in the South with the book. We want to go to the deep South,
Great idea.
where the people are hungry for ideas, starved.
I mean, it's a different world.
It's
though,
a
man.
different world
I mean,
down
it's some
there.
it's some dark ages shit.
Like-
Yes, we want to bring some light into the
It's a
dark.
it's a re-enlightenment that basically needs to happen for the South, essentially.
A
But
renaissance.
when you're dealing again with Robert Guillaume, what happens is his following is he crossed over.
He's
In other
very
words,
transcendent.
brother, the people that come to him when we're out in the world come from all over parts of
All
the world,
walks of
all
life.
walks of life, and they be all colors.
That is what the definition of transcendent is for
And that's what
culturally,
he
yeah.
has done.
Yeah.
And he's trying to, I tell you what he's trying to do. He's trying to leave us a legacy of ideas before he leaves the earth.
He's
And I got them in this book.
That's
Good
great.
shit.
See what
Good
I'm
shit.
saying?
That's great.
I like
So
it.
God is great. God is good. But he has left us some gems. And when the people heard us, we did a reading of the book over at SAG. We're in the archives there. And we started to read, and people who were there, when they came out of the reading, said they had never heard anything. When you get a celebrity to really talk about art and
Open
acting,
up.
yeah, they don't talk about it. They
Well,
tell
I mean,
you about
it's the same thing that we've had tonight, where you open up
Exactly.
about art and what art is and your
you know what?
transformation. It's the same principle.
That's the principle. And that's what he does. But he does it even bigger and better than me.
Greater scope.
Well, yeah. Like I said, I was way over my head with Rafiki.
Right.
My point only being is that the book And I can't wait till we get it out. Because we think we can make a difference. We think we can lift people's spirits. And if it applies to you, so be it. If it doesn't apply, kick it out. We don't
Pass it on.
We
Yeah, yeah.
don't really care.
As long as it
It's
is
just
out there
ideas.
as a thing that exists
And
for
we just
people to
want-
come across.
And we want to stimulate you to use your brain a little bit.
Right.
That's all.
Develop the critical
Good
thinking
shit.
skills.
Good shit.
Is there anywhere else
You
on
got
the
you got a
internet?
website or anything? What you got?
I have a website, jwesley.com. You go there and
Is that just the letter J or-
jwesley.com. And I've got a website over there, so if you want to, you're going to be surprised when you go over there and see me in his varying things. You know, I'm the barber over there with Mr. Jim and Martin.
Yeah.
That's one of my roles. And the only reason I took that role was because I had a teenage daughter who came in and saw the script. And I had already told the agent I was going to pass on it. I didn't think that, hip-hop show. I didn't think...
Mitch loves Martin. Martin.
I love him, too. I love him. I tell you why I love him. He's a good young man. But look, my daughter comes in and she says, and I'm going to start talking, but she comes in and she sees the script and she says, Dad, are you reading for Martin? I said, yeah, well, I don't know, honey. Oh, no, Dad, you have to do that. I said, why is that, honey? She said, that way the young people will know you, Dad. You do all those old shows, but that's the hippest young show on television.
Spans it out.
And, of course, she was right. I went over and did the show. And Martin Lawrence, most people won't know this about him, but the way that he honors and respects his elders is he and P. Diddy. There's a couple of these cats, man, that I'm really impressed with. Their parents did a fantastic job with them, although their public image seems totally different.
Very grandiose. Very
Well,
loud.
they put that out there,
Right.
that big act. But when you meet them in person, like you take Diddy, he's like me. He went to Catholic school when he was a kid. He's got values. There's no cursing on his sets. The women were not running around naked and no smoking reefer around the set and shit like that. I was shocked. Because with P. Diddy, we're making a music video.
What's the most monetarily profitable image that you can put out there versus what you can get away with, kind of?
Martin Lawrence is one of these cats who we were doing an episode and Lou Rawls was on the episode.
Love me some Lou Rawls.
And this was at the time when he and Tisha were breaking up, and he was very depressed. And what they had done with us then was I'd have to shoot my stuff separate with Tisha, and he wouldn't allow it on the studio lot. And then when Tisha finished and left the lot, he could come on and we would shoot his stuff. So he was heartbroken, man, because he loved her. He loved her deeply, really. And I mean more than plutonic, really.
Right.
At any rate, so this day we had some background players over there, and they said something, and Martin looked and said, "Shut the fuck up, you motherfuckers," or whatever the fuck he said. But he looked in our direction, and Lou Rawls looked at me and said, "What is he? Let's go." Lou was getting ready. I grabbed Lou. I said, "Lou, no.
It was classic, man.
I said, Lou, no. He would never, ever talk to us like that, man. He's not talking to us, Lou. Let that go." And Lou kept going with it because it was in this direction. So sure enough, about 10 minutes later, Martin walks over to us. He said, "Mr. Wesley, Mr. Rawls, I was not talking to you, and I apologize if you thought I was. I was not. I'm just out of it today, and I'm sorry if you." And I looked at Lou, kind of winked at him, because I had come to know Martin. I'd been with him for 2 seasons. I already knew.
You had experienced a bit of
He
the
was
arc.
totally out of character.
Right.
He would never talk to anyone.
Which is one of those things that you can get when you've got two types of vets, such as yourself, and one with a familiarity, one who doesn't, and you can bank off that familiarity to keep the other one around, kind of.
Well, I learned some things too from him. He's a kind of I'm old school, so we work together. I don't talk to you and disrespect you when I'm talking to you. But when I'm the series lead, I'm in charge. And if I don't let you know what I'm thinking at any given time, you may go off left. I'm the one got to, and that's what he was doing all the time. But he did it. He didn't mince words. He liked to curse. So, but if you didn't know that about him, I just love him. I fell in love with him. He's a sweet guy. I wish him nothing but success, And Diddy, too. He and Common, I did a music video with him. There's some young people who have an awareness that I'm so impressed by. And it gives me hope that the work that we did is still being carried on, see, with young people. Not unlike yourself, T.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, let's wrap this up.
Let's wrap this shit up.
Teddy, what do you want to plug? Other than the streets.
Yeah, besides being in the streets running them Comedy Con Carne coming up.
July 19th.
That's right. Flapper is doing a damn thing. Jose
Myself,
Chavez.
Teddy. I said Teddy.
It's okay. Justin DuBois in the building, right?
Leo Sanders,
Leo
Jose
Sanders.
Chavez, yourself, myself.
Doing it.
I don't remember. They keep changing the lineup, so I don't
Send me
know.
that shit.
Yes, we will. We will do it.
Absolutely,
Flappers,
absolutely.
10 p.m. Mitch, anything
And if
else
I
you
bring
got?
Robert, y'all better acknowledge it.
Oh, you're damn right.
I got a show at Sardo's this Wednesday, 2 days from now, 1 year anniversary of Sardo's, even though I feel like the chronology is wrong because I swear I played there more than a year ago with the party starter, Mr. Darren Carter,
Hello.
as the headliner. And so that'll be fun. We'll see what happens there. And
Now, Reverend, I got to ask you this before I go. Them things in your eyes, don't that shit hurt?
No, sir.
How did you do that?
I feel nothing.
It's like anything else. It's like, look, if you pierce your ear, it hurts
didn't hurt,
when
though?
it pierced, but like afterwards,
You know how
it's
long
not. It
John's
doesn't
been waiting
keep
to ask you
hurting.
that question?
I've
I'm
been
surprised
waiting
he-
all
I'm
the
surprised
whole
he held
show.
on to the fucking
I swear to God.
last 30 seconds.
Why
to
would
slip
it?
that
Why
shit
would
in.
it continue to hurt now? It's been healed for like over a
You
decade.
don't know.
God
You don't know. Maybe,
damn.
maybe you just got a real high threshold, son.
if
Do you
Some-
think that everybody's got their ear pierced, walks around going, "God, these things hurt," but damn, I look fashionable.
Yeah.
might.
Some
All
of
right,
that.
well, no.
That's what I thought. God damn, man. And you know when they stick the thing in their tongue?
I had that. I've had them all. I've had them
I
all.
heard that.
I don't wear them all now, but I've had them all.
So
I've
when
had
them women
piercings
put
all
that
over.
thing, it's for good head, right?
It's actually, it doesn't, it honestly, you don't feel it when they're giving head, but it's nice for like making out. It's a little, and also I think it's more of a symbol.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Chick with a bar in her tongue, you're probably more likely to go down on you than on
That's
the
what I
first
thought.
date. You know what I mean?
thought they put that in there to tickle your dick.
I mean, it's the same thing of like, you know, the reason
Amazing
reason I wear these big old spikes on my
ladies and
face, you see.
yes, I'm
This is for the
sorry.
chicks that are into this kind of thing.
I didn't mean to take us
No, it's
down
okay.
there.
I'm just saying it's the same kind of thing. It's
And
more
you
of a
were
symbol.
holding on to it all night. It's
All
gotta
night.
come
It's a
out
symbol.
at
It's
some
just
point.
a
I
symbol
behaved
of.
myself.
Yes,
tonight.
well played.
It's fine.
sir.
It's
You
a
deserve
symbol
it.
of. It's a symbol of like I'm looking for these kinds of people, the kind of people that like puncturing
Freaks come out at night.
freaky shit.
Yes.
The freaks
Same
come
reason
out
you
at
wear that
night.
watch, right? Same reason you wear the watch, right?
Same reason you put on the platforms, baby.
You're not gonna
like
wear like some rubber Casio
Avery was a
throwaway
hippie,
shit.
and
You're
I
gonna be
was the
like
player.
no, I'm wearing this silver thing. You know what I mean? I'm gonna wear a black corduroy jacket. You know what I mean? Yeah.
They told me
Everything's
Well, now
everything's
look,
about
I
like
asked
put
them.
that image out there so people
I said-
realize what you're getting into.
I said
get
to
it, man.
whoever
I
called
get
me,
it.
was Jillian?
Yes.
Yeah.
I said, Jillian, so now tell me about this thing. Now, is
the
it
first
radio?
time her name's
And
ever
she
been
said-
mentioned
she said
on this
yes.
show.
And I said, well, Jillian, baby, thank you, honey. So I said, so am I on camera? And she said, yeah. I said, oh, well, I guess I better dress appropriately.
There you go. There you go.
And
All right,
mission
babe.
accomplished.
All right. Thank you
sir.
so much, John Wesley.
Thank you.
Thank you out there in Rivopolis. We'll be back again next week for episode 69, baby. And
sure you're
we're still working out all the details. Check riffin.net for said details. Y'all is beautiful. We'll see you again next week.
Good night, bitches.
Thanks for listening to Straight Riffin'. You can catch all past and future episodes of Straight Riffin' on the official website riffin.net, riffin.net. Keep in mind, we do air live every Monday night from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Pacific time. That's 10 p.m. to midnight for you East Coasters. You can actually watch that right on Facebook, on our fan page, facebook.com/straightriffin'. Like us, check out the Ustream page. You can even chat while we're doing the show. That's how we interact with the fans. We thank you so much for listening. Check out riffin.net. Buy my album. Buy Teddy's album. We'll catch you again next time. And rip the fuck on, bitches!